Aló. Hi, Arsenio, Hernanio, or I'm not too sure the name. Yay. Hi, Hernanio. How are you? Can you hear me? Okay.
My way of covering all bets.
What is that voice? Hi, Prudence here. Goodness. Can you hear me? Hello? Fedorov, can you hear me? I see you here. I see you here. Am I mute? Okay, hold that thought. Alrighty. All right. Antonio? You can hear me. Fantastic. Excellent. Alrighty. Excellent. Petrov, can you hear me? How are you today?
Yes. Yes. Hi. How are you? I can hear you.
That's fantastic. That's great. So
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. We already have other people on this meeting already. People that are part of the African Film Consortium, if I'm not mistaken. Hernanio Mandlate and Mr. Antonio Forjas. Hi, Antonio.
Hello.
How are you today?
All fine.
Very good. Where are you calling from, or where are you joining from?
Mozambique.
Mozambique. Okay. Hola.
Hola.
No, bon diem. Oh, bon
Boa
diem.
noite.
I forgot. Yeah, you speak Portuguese.
Yes, we speak Portuguese here.
That's fantastic. So how did you get to hear about this momentous event?
My colleague Mickey Fonseca just sent me a link, and he hasn't shown up here yet.
All right, that's good. That's
but
good.
I also know Hernanio. He's also from Mozambique.
That's fantastic. Strong presence from Mozambique. Wow, that's great. Let me introduce you to Fedorov. Fedorov is also part of the team that managed to get Mr. John Amos today for this talk. All right. Fedorov is a producer. He's been working with Eddie Murphy for the past 30 or so years, and he's here with us today. Fedorov, meet our friends, filmmakers from Mozambique, Antonio and Hernanio.
Hi.
Yeah.
Right.
So Antonio, tell us more about yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
Hi, Antonio.
Hi.
Emmanuel.
I work, well, I studied film in Chicago in the early 90s. And I make films and TV commercials here in Mozambique. We made a film that's on Netflix now, the first Mozambican film on Netflix at the moment.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's great. Fedorov, you don't know how far this invitation to John went. Mozambique is situated in the southern east part of Africa, near South Africa and near Madagascar as well. All right. They speak Portuguese as a colonial language, and they have also their own national language. Am I right there, Antonio?
Yeah, Portuguese is the official language, and there's about 12 other local languages, African languages. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's good. That's good. I guess that what's his name? I forgot his name. Oh, let me check here. Piri. He's a member of the
Pedro Pimenta.
Pedro, yes, Pedro Pimento. Yes.
I've known Pedro Pimenta since I was 12 years old.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's interesting. All right. So yeah, he's been very helpful in many things. as well, and reaching out to people in Mozambique as well.
Uh, it just started to rain here a lot.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to put my sound on mute because it's going to be kind of loud.
Oh, okay, no worries, no worries, no worries. We're happy to have you on board anyway. Let me call Hilda. Oh, we have John himself. He's already here. Yay.
Wow, John.
Hi, John. Oh, not connect. He's connecting.
Hello.
Hi, how are you today? Wow, you look cute in red.
Thank you.
Alrighty. So you're very early, but we already have few people already here. You know, Fedorov. We have Antonio, who is coming from Mozambique, in southern part of Africa, and many other people that will join in soon.
Pleasure to meet you.
Alrighty. So we can already start, you know,
Hi, John.
small talk.
Hey, buddy.
Hello, John.
Hello there.
So Antonio, you can already start the chat if you want. Antonio is a filmmaker from Mozambique, which is, as you know, John, southwestern part of Africa, speaking Portuguese, but he's been trained, if I'm not mistaken, in the US, right, Antonio?
Yeah, I went to film school in the US in Chicago at Columbia College there.
Columbia College, okay.
Yeah, Columbia College, yeah.
Excellent.
And what
You know
have you
the
been
college.
doing so far?
I'm sorry.
You know that film?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, John. This is Girly Jazama. She's an actress, filmmaker extraordinaire from Namibia. Alrighty, and she's also joining the call today as a co, you know, discussant, if I can say so. All right. If she show her face, you'll see that she's a fantastic and beautiful looking lady. Alrighty. There you go.
Hi, John. Hi, I'm Antonio.
My pleasure
Hi,
to meet you,
Fedorov.
girlie.
It's such a pleasure to meet you, John.
It's mutual.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fantastic. We're going to go back to Antonio, who started explaining something, and I'm sorry I cut you off. It might happen a bit until everybody's on board. Would you mind continuing? Antonio is from Namibia. Oh, sorry, Mozambique.
Yep. No, I was just asking if John knows about the school I went to in America, if he's heard about it.
Yes, I have.
Ah, okay. Okay, good. It was a good time there that I spent 4 years in Chicago studying film. It was a
Excellent.
good time. Yeah.
Any of the films that you worked on while you were in school, are they available? Could I access those films?
Well, there's one film that we've done now that's available on Netflix, but it's not from school, it's from now. It's the first Mozambican independent film, and it's on Netflix. It's available in America.
What is the name of the film, please?
Called Redemption.
Say again.
Redemption.
Redemption, yes.
Yeah,
And
Redemption.
what was your role? What was your role in the production of that film? You directed or you wrote it,
No,
or what?
I didn't direct. I produced, I shot, and I edited.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I shot it
Well,
all.
you and my son will have a lot in common to talk about, which is why I wanted him involved in this interview, because he's an accredited filmmaker, an award-winning filmmaker, in fact, and we work very closely together. So I'd like him to meet you, and perhaps you guys can establish some type of a working relationship.
That would be great. That would be great. My colleague, Mickey Fonseca, who wrote and directed the film, was the guy that gave me the link to this conversation, and he still hasn't joined us. He thinks it starts at 10 p.m. And I've been trying.
Yeah, it does on our time, like at least CAT, Central African time, it is 10 p.m.
Yeah.
I tell you something,
Yes, ma'am.
girlie, I got lost in time zone like so many times.
Oh, okay. No, I always just go to the converter. Hey, that's what I've kind of resorted to. That's my default setting. I just type in and then convert to ensure that I'm available at that time. But I usually set up earlier, so that's why I'm
That's
on
good.
here earlier
So,
than that.
girlie,
Yeah.
introduce yourself to John, just for him to know who is behind those beautiful glasses.
Well, John, I'm an actress, writer, and producer from Namibia. I recently co-wrote and co-produced, as well as was the production manager for the first Namibian film to be on Netflix. And the title of the film is
And
Bahu.
what was that film, please?
It's
What was
Bahu,
it?
Bahu, Baxu, and the Giants. But the
Story.
full name was inspired by how this 9-year-old girl, it's basically about rhino poaching, and it was commissioned by the Legal Assistance Center in Namibia to Mamakobo Video and Research. And then Andrew Botel from Mamakobo Video and Research asked, would I be interested in being a part of this film? So obviously, because of the topic, I said yes. So we then spoke to Florian Schott, who's the director of the film, and we started writing the film, and then obviously did the tech recce, etc., and then filmed the film. And it is basically about rhino poaching in northwest Namibia, which is a really beautiful area in Namibia. So if you do watch the film, you see the beautiful landscapes within Namibia, the Etandeka Mountains. So it's just such a beautiful setting in Namibia. And also the film then won several awards.
Again,
John?
that film is Redemption.
No. The film
No,
is
it's
Bahu and the Giant. Girlie, speak up if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's
Baku and the Giants.
Yeah, it's Baxu and the Giants.
Baxu and the Giants. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
look for it.
Which basically means the Bahu comes from Kubahu, which is a Quaker Gova vernacular language, which basically means I come from the soil. So in this film, there's magical realism where this little girl is then having conversations with the rhinos, where the rhinos are asking her to save them. So that's basically where she's basically so rooted in nature that she's obviously able to speak with the giants of the savannah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Girlie. We have other guests that just arrived. We have Miki Fonseca, the colleague of Antonio, coming from Mozambique. We have Saba Dagnu from Ethiopia. She represents an organization called Habesha View, which is an SVOD. All right.
Yeah.
And John, they actually Ethiopians are kind of very kind of not happy a lot because they say, I quote, many of the references in coming to America are Ethiopians, but in Ethiopia, they may not be able to see you and the Ethiopian reference because it's not broadcasted in Ethiopia. I guess we're going to have that conversation later on with Saba. And we have actually Saba's boss, who is Tigis Kibede, and she's another Ethiopian lady, very high profile lady. I will introduce her later on. Actually, she will introduce herself. We have Sarah Uche from Nigeria. All right. I have to apologize sometimes with my, accent with the family names. All right. So apologies for that. If I murder your family names, it's not intentional. All righty. All right. So we're gonna go to Tigist Kebede, who just joined from Ethiopia, just for her to share. To introduce herself, and then hi Tigist, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Lovely to see you. And lockdown again here back in the UK.
All righty. So Tigist, let me introduce you to John. John, can you see Tigist here?
Lovely to meet you, John. Good to meet you.
My pleasure. Pleasure meeting you.
Great.
So Tigist, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and why did you join this call?
Well, it's lovely to be invited. So my name is Tigis Kapede. I am the co-founder and chief executive officer for Habesha View. I think we've got to repeat, for Habesha View, which is the first Ethiopian film distribution company owned and run by Ethiopians. We are based in the UK, in the US, and also in Ethiopia. And very happy to say that next month we will be taking an IPTV service to Ethiopia. It's for the first one of its kind. Now, the reason I joined today is I was very interested in quite a lot of African-American or traditional films, trying to take them for theatrical releases in Africa, which is always very difficult. So I had the first experience last week when I heard Coming to America 2 is going to South Africa and Nigeria. I got in touch and I said, how about Ethiopia? 107 million population, lots of disposable income.
Yeah.
And the answer, which I have by email, was, we're not going to the rest of Africa yet. And I
say again, could you repeat that, please?
The answer I got.
Said what?
The answer I got back was, currently only Nigeria and South Africa. We are not going to the rest of Africa yet. And my company is taking the first IPTV service to Ethiopia with collaboration with a very large telco. And I'm going thinking, here is a population of 107 million, with the majority being that kind of 35 to 50 age group, disposable income, highly educated. Yeah. What is wrong? What's going on? Now, I have to admit, I left Ethiopia a long time ago, lived abroad, traveled all over the world, but I do go back. And it's such a shame to see this is repeated all over Africa, except South Africa and Nigeria at this time.
Yes.
And what about John then? You're not excited to meet him?
Oh, exactly. Well, that is. I'm sorry. I've been on many Zoom calls pitching this thing. So, John, of course, it's a pleasure to meet you. It's wonderful to see you, and I'm very honored to be part of this Zoom call today. Apology. That was, that was unsaid. It was expected.
So, what do you say to that, John?
Excuse me.
What do you say to what she just said? What about not being able to see the movie in Ethiopia? What do you say to that? I know that it's not your responsibility, but what do you say to that?
Well, I am disappointed that we can't share the film with the Ethiopian audience. I am very disappointed, and I would like to know more about what we can do to rectify it in the future so that other films are not rejected or the audience is not deprived of future films.
Yes, well, I mean, definitely when it's on Amazon Prime, people can watch it because they have an international account. But what I was talking about is a theatrical release in this country. So, for example, Coming to America 2 has a lot of input from Ethiopia. There's a lot of costume, a lot of text, and of course, our famous crosses are displayed throughout the film, which obviously makes it so much more important for Ethiopians to see it in theaters. Rather than obviously having to subscribe to Amazon or pay to watch it. But anyway, this is something long-term discussion which will keep going on, I think. But thank you for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All righty. So, John, let me introduce other people that joined the call. All right. We have here Anwar Jamison. All right. Frank. We have Mickey Fonseca that I introduced earlier. So guys, what I would suggest to do is, and Bonjiwa, all right, who is South African actually, can you just, do a round of introducing yourself and just in 30 seconds saying who you are and the reason why you joined the call, starting with Anwar, if you don't mind, Anwar.
Hello, my name's Anwar Jamison. I'm a writer-director. I'm actually the director of, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir.
Of a movie called Coming to Africa, which is out now, which was obviously inspired by Coming to America. Been a huge fan, obviously, Mr. John Amos, man, since before I was born, and yeah, so it was just funny, the timing of our movie, which is also on Amazon Prime. and but a small indie film. But it was just funny the timing because we had this movie in the works for like 5, 6, 7 years, long before they even said they were doing the sequel to Come in America. So
hold on, Anwar, let me repeat the name of the movie. John Amos, he's one of the guys that you requested to see from Coming to Africa.
Yes.
Coming to Africa. Just for
wow.
Yeah,
yes.
Anwar,
Okay.
I'd like to have a discussion with you at some point in regards to filmmaking in Africa. What problems you have, what subjects you want to cover. Is there a possibility that we could collaborate at some point in the future?
Yes, please, let's have that conversation. So I'll however it's best to get your information, and we can definitely have that conversation. It would be an honor. I had a great time in Ghana filming Coming to Africa, so I would love to talk to you about that.
Fantastic.
It would be mutual. And I would include my son, KC, as I mentioned earlier. KC Amos is an accredited filmmaker, an award-winning filmmaker, in fact, and we work very closely together. So you might find that a union between the three of us could be very advantageous.
I like the sound of that.
Good
All right,
deal.
let's move with a lady called Desiree. All right. She's a filmmaker, all right? She's a Berlinale Talent alumni, and she's so much more than that. So Desiree, continue. So who are you? What are you? Why are you attending this meeting?
Hi, everybody. Hi, John. Definitely an honor to be part of this conversation and just meeting you, obviously, virtually. So again, have been a fan always. So my name is Desiree, and I am from Namibia, Southern Africa. And I am a director, producer. And so I had a directorial debut of a feature film that is currently on Box Office DSTV. It's an interracial love story that is set in 1963 in Namibia, because we also had apartheid within our country. So it's out on Box Office currently, and we are currently looking for distribution internationally. So it was my directorial debut. Haven't done film before, but just obviously as an actress and just kind of like working within the environment. But this time around with two of my friends, we said, okay, cool, let's give ourselves opportunity and shoot a film, and it has done well so far. So yeah, definitely looking to sort of like
that. Continued success with the film.
That's it, John. Girlie that you heard earlier is one of the lead in that movie. All right, and you need to see that movie. It's just fantastic.
Yes,
it's like
I need to see the film. I want to see
it's beautiful.
Most definitely. So we're gonna move to a lady called Angela Gordon, straight from California. Angela, show yourself.
Yes.
Tell us who you are.
Yes, I'm here.
We can see your beautiful face.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Angela.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
So far, so good. And you?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm enjoying this sunny California weather. I'm one of the Yanina's mentors and director, producer. I love your work, always have, and I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
And we're going to move to a lady called Firdaus Bubulia. All right, Firdaus, where are you? Oh, Firdaus.
Here I am. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Firdaus. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm in South Africa, in Johannesburg.
All righty. So tell us more about yourself and the reason why you joined the call, and what you do in terms of pushing the envelope when it comes to filmmaking.
Wait, I'm making everybody talk.
Okay. So I'm an independent filmmaker producer in South Africa. I chair the Children's Broadcasting Foundation for Africa. Our work is in pushing the envelope in children and youth media. We produce films and documentaries, and I am responsible or helping the Durban International Film Festival with their selection of films for this year. I hosted the Zanzibar International Film Festival in 2019 with my partner Faith, and we live and work between South Africa and Nigeria.
Fantastic. John, what do you say about that?
Excuse me?
What do you say about that? So Firdaus come from South Africa. She's a filmmaker, but also a mix between because she's done a lot in terms of pushing the envelope in South Africa, and she's part of those who are fighting on a daily basis to make sure that regulation and things like that are done to move forward the envelope for African film, generally speaking. Am I right there, Firdaus?
Yes, and we've just actually launched the African Animation Studio. So we've got some training. We're training young people in animation and a new team of gamers. So we've got gaming happening in South Africa. I think, John, you probably know the history of South Africa. So as a Black production company, it is extremely difficult. And we really want to encourage Black filmmakers and Black animators. There is an animation company that probably people know about, Triggerfish, that had produced some very good films from South Africa. Apparently they've moved on, and I think they moved to Ireland. So we're one of the younger kind of animation studios, and we have been trying to push for young African animators and now gamers. So I think that switch, the move, really, the transition to another space in terms of media is really important, and storytelling, as you all know. So during COVID, what was interesting, sorry, John, was that we just produced some public service announcements on COVID for children, but animation, short animations that went into schools, and as now the Department of Health has taken it. So we've kind of moved that around. And so whilst we make feature films, we do a lot of training, we build capacity, we're trying to train young filmmakers in particular. And I'm happy to be here because we're all part of the African Film Consortium, which I think has about 250 members through Michael and the team sitting out there. So I'm happy to be and to meet with you. Thank you, John.
I would like to acquire as much information as possible in the consortium to become conversant with the participants and what their overall mission is. Perhaps there's a chance, if all goes well, that we can collaborate at some point in the future. Thank you.
Fantastic. We're going to move now to Miss Bonjil Hanla Kube. I really apologize for murdering your name to the person. So, Bonji, if you can show yourself and introduce yourself, if you don't mind.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
My name is Bonginhlanhla Ncube, but in brief, I am known as Mr. B. I'm also in South Africa. I am a film producer, director, and writer. I love storytelling, and I have one very big feature film, which is based on one African king, which is set in about 1879, 1888, thereabout, which is still in development. And requires huge funding. So it's taken about 6 to 7 years with collaboration between Germany and South Africa, back and forth, trying to develop the story. But in the meantime, of course, I've been doing a couple of television series in Botswana, and also locally in South Africa, I have a couple of films that are on SABC. So yeah, that's me. Thank you so much to meet John, Amos, and everybody here. I have been a fan since when I was knee-high, so they say, up to now. So I'm really, really starstruck. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you, sir.
Fantastic. So moving to Yvonne Mwengi. Yvonne Mwengi. Okay, she did fall. No, she did not. Please don't fall down.
Hi.
That would be great. Hi, Yvonne. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
So can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Yvonne Mwangi. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya.
Fantastic.
For me, once I saw this meeting, I was excited. I was like, wow, John Amos. Goodness, this is like a huge privilege to, I still remember you from a good time.
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. It's actually evening here. So here it's at night, but I said, let me get up and actually just be in this meeting. I personally, I don't actually do film. What I do is I sell the equipment that helps people produce the films. So that's what I mainly do. Yes.
That's good. We
I
all,
just
we
supply
all
the
need
equipment. I don't make films. I'm a
Exactly.
creative. Yes, everything. That's what I basically do. I also did a small event last year because of COVID. We were able to do an online event where we were able to bring about 15 different countries together live on one platform, and we just had an event for like 10 hours where we had different artists come on, and we were able to send it out onto Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And it was pretty exciting, just to see how much talent there is in Africa. So it's always yes, thank you. It's amazing to see how much talent there is, and when you get an opportunity to meet people who have been before us, it's wonderful. So, John Amos, thank you for actually availing yourself, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Could you please advise me as to when there would be another meeting comparable to the one you attended?
No, this is fine. It's because for us it's at night, so it's
Pardon me.
It's difficult. Our time difference is so huge, so for us it's okay. We will get up.
He meant the meeting that you did with the other people that you mentioned before.
Oh, that one, the online. Oh, the event, the online binge festival. I should be doing one in the next 2 months. Okay. I should be having another event. Okay. So I'm in the process of planning it because it requires quite a bit of planning. Because by the time you get people from 15 countries to all appear at the same time, it becomes tricky. And then, of course, issues of sponsorship, because you need to be in a place that has some serious bandwidth to be able to pull that off. You have to have very, very good bandwidth. If you don't have bandwidth, you're not going to get anywhere right now because everything is online. Yeah. So once we've gotten the sponsorship, we're able to make sure we have the right bandwidth. We're home and dry. Within 2 months, we should be up and running. Because if you're able to pull off a live event for creatives and you're connecting them, I think it's something rather excellent.
We are on one right now, connecting creative, right? Exactly. And talking about connecting creative, let me introduce you to the first lady of cinema in Nigeria, all right? Her name is Hilda Dokubo. I guess that many of you might have seen her if you watch any Nollywood movies, all right? And she's also a co-host today, all right? So Hilda, can you show yourself and just tell John how much you love him and how much you're happy to be here today? So Hilda, where are you? Oh, Hilda. She's mute. Okay.
Unmute. Hello.
Where are you? Where is your beautiful face?
I'm here.
Okay.
My face is here. Can you see me or no?
Yes, we can.
Oh. Okay. I'm very excited. In fact, nervous. Hello, John. It's such an honor. Very well. It's such an honor I wish this was face to face, but well, thank COVID, we still get to see you. Well, I'm an actor, and I started acting as a child, as a 7-year-old, and I've been acting now, and I'm acting coach. I'm also a casting director. I'm an activist. I work as an actor to, social ills in the society. And through COVID, we had to hold several talks on how to use productions, stage or films to talk to women about their own rights and safety, and then to fight the ills of rape that a lot of women suffered during the lockdown. So it's my pleasure to meet you, and I intend to learn a lot from this conversation. Okay, so thank you so much. Africa is waiting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic. So now we're gonna start the actual conversation in 2 minutes when I finish introducing the rest of the people that are already here. Whomever hasn't introduced him or herself, please go on, because guess what? I'm very bad at reading and introducing yourself. Alrighty. I think that I haven't introduced Dela and Dennis. All right. So Dennis Mbutia. Again, apologies for murdering your name. Not my fault, not intentional. So Dennis, how are you? Where are you coming from and what do you do? Okay, Dennis didn't hear me, obviously.
Where do you? Sorry.
Oh, Dennis. All right. So
yes.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. My name is Dennis Mbuthia, and I'm an animator and I'm a game designer.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm privileged to actually be part of this call. Somebody just shared it right now and is like, oh my God, I need to see this. And so hi.
From which country? Kenya?
Kenya, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Kenya is in the house.
Hello, Dennis.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello, Dennis. Pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure meeting you too. And thank you for the excellent service that you have done on air and with all the entertainment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. And we have Matamba and we have Dele Ajakaye, a Nigerian film and TV director based in UK. Which video is not working? So we're going to move to Matamba Kombila. Matamba, can you hear me or not?
I hear you.
Okay. I assumed that you were a guy, but anyway, it's okay.
No, I'm a woman.
All right, please do introduce yourself and then we're going to start.
Oh, hi. So I'm a filmmaker, originally from Gabon. I'm currently residing in Yaoundé, Cameroon. I work. I do fiction and documentaries. I've done only short forms until now, and I'm working on my first narrative feature. And I'm really happy to be with you guys tonight. And thank you for organizing this for us and for sharing your experience with us.
Are any of the films that you worked on, are they available on Netflix or any other? Can I access any of the films that you worked on?
Yes, my mini-series is available on a Rwandan platform that is called Cinetai. And some of my films are also on my Vimeo page. And I'm currently working on a deal with the national TV channel in Gabon to get some other works broadcasted.
Fantastic.
I can post the link. Yeah, I can post the link in the chat. Yes.
In the chat.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for your interest.
Excellent. So without further ado, we're going to start this conversation. All right. It's going to be an exchange between John, Hilda, Desiree, and Girly, and indeed your questions. All right. So the conversation is going to go about John's career in the film entertainment industry for the past almost 60 years. The project that he's currently working on, that he's worked on, and that he'll be working on, and his interest in African filmmakers and African film industry. And we're going to talk indeed about coming to America, alrighty, and also about coming to Africa. So let's start with the main co-host of the day, Miss Hilda Dokubo, and to fire up her question, and then we're going to continue with Desiree and Girly. All right, let's go ahead, Hilda.
Okay, so a little peep into.
You have some noise on the background, Hilda.
Not my background.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Somebody's background. Somebody's. I was actually waiting for.
What? Johnny Amos.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Oh God, that sound in the background is so distracting. Anyways, let me just do a real quick one of the background, how Nollywood started. It started off as something that we call home video. At the time, a few of us had graduated. There was nothing to you know, we didn't have a lot of places to express ourselves. It was either you went to what we called the NTA or the National Theatre. So places to express yourself were very limited. And then, you know, restless young people came together and started off what today is home video with the first movie as produced by Oke Ogunjiofor, Living in Bondage. And then from there, a lot of us had our debut, and then it began to grow. People began to buy into it. And then there was us, those of us who had graduated from acting schools and all of that, doing what we're doing. There's a gap, a real intense gap, especially in training. And that was what I noticed and started the acting studio. So the question that I really, really would like to ask is, a lot of people who think that they really can act can't. They just because they have flesh, they can move and talk, they just assume that they are actors. I don't know if, John, if you ever met any of such people on set, or if you've always worked with only real performers, if you've ever met people who have no clue as to what it means to be a professional actor or not. But we're at that point in our profession now where people are interested. For me, when you look in terms of art, when you look inwards, for me, Africa is a country, it's not a continent business-wise. And so if we look at ourselves as that, as a country, then it's easier for all of us to
collaborate.
Yes, collaborate, to lean on each other's strengths and grow together. So it's really a great pleasure to have you in our midst. It's more like saying, welcome home, big brother. Welcome home, daddy. So hold our hands and tell us which way to go so we can just go take over the world. Because that's the point at which we are now. At the point of taking over.
Exactly.
So thank you. So that's my intro for now. So the question is, when you meet people who are not professional actors, who lack discipline and training, what do you do with them?
I tell them to go study and to keep company with those who are proven professionals until such time as they become aware of how much work they have to do and the discipline that's required to be a successful actor.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
so that's
ma'am.
one. Yeah. That's one gap.
If you allow me an introduction.
Yes,
I have right now one of the main, I have the president of and the founder of the African Film Consortium, all right, who managed to get most of the people in this room today. Johnny, he's a very important man that you need to meet because he's doing a lot for African film and for African filmmakers. Mikel, if you want to show us your face and meet with John, if you please. Mikel?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is Mikel? He was there a few minutes ago.
Yes.
Is he hiding? Okay. Mikel, alrighty. If Mikel is not available, so we're going to continue the conversation and the question. I'm sorry for that interruption. But when Mikel is live again, I'll let him, just do his introduction. So please, Desiree, keep on, and I'll mute myself.
Oh, okay. Obviously, I said earlier that I'm from Namibia and a first-time director, but I've been in the industry for over 12 years within Namibia as theater. I have a background in theater as an actress and also director. Our industry is fair. I mean, for the last 30 years, but it's still fairly small, as we produce like one film every year or every 2 years. Yeah, every 2 years sometimes, depending on the funding. And obviously, our private sectors have no real interest within the industry to sort of help out. So what we had done was looking at all of that, and us and Gurley and I, being obviously new in terms of filmmaking on the scene, we decided to sort of go ahead without having to really wait for anybody and just do a film. we had no real experience with producing or anything else. We just knew what we wanted to do and the story we wanted to tell, and how we're just kind of learning as we were going. And and to get our film done and get it where it needed to go. And also kind of learned a lot, having to travel to different festivals and meeting a lot of people, and sort of like Hilda said, having to sort of like realize that as an, as much as we are divided by borders, at the end of the day, we are still, larger in numbers when we break down the borders and work together as, Africa, and not just one particular film industry, like Namibia film industry, South African film industry, but, as the African film industry as a whole, and that in itself has a way more power and, way more voice and noise, to sort of cross into the rest of the world. But so my question then would be, obviously you've been in the industry from every, from television to film and from every level of film as well within the US. And how do you envision in terms of like now, sort of like coming to Africa, sort of like,
I love it.
But like, so how do you sort of envision, sort of like with all your knowledge and experience, and obviously your vision, because obviously you have a vision as to how you want to sort of work within the African, the African industry or with African filmmakers. How do you envision that happening? And what type of stories are you looking to do as well?
I think that it is happening now. The conversation that we are having is part of the beginning of the process, and it should continue to the point that you and I and other artists are collaborating on stories, on filmmaking, on books, literature, the whole 9 yards. A cultural exchange is taking place. As small as it may seem now, it has unlimited growth potential. And I think it's incumbent upon us to explore the potential, to develop the potential, because in filmmaking, we can correct all the negative stereotypical imagery about Africa and the Black race in general. So
100%.
I think it's imperative that we take control of our own imagery, and with the technology that exists today, and with the young people, like my son, for example, who is an acknowledged, educated filmmaker, we can change the misconceptions that exist and begin to tell stories with the sensitivity and the accuracy that the stories require from a historical standpoint.
That is true. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. And, sorry. And then also I think it's true to that, because the one thing that after sort of like having interactions with a lot of the African filmmakers that I have met personally, was also like, I got to thinking, instead of telling a story that is solely based in, or a Namibian story, or story that is solely based in Namibia, I started thinking of stories or human experiences that would be told from any part within Africa. In that way, it doesn't necessarily, we don't, and then having to sort of, step into, collaborating and sort of working together and removing completely the boundaries, because human experiences are still the same regardless where you are from, So I started thinking and writing stories that can be told from every angle and from every place within Africa, without having to have boundaries as to nationality or in that regard. So,
Excellent. So we have a question actually from Firdaus Bilza. She has a question about Netflix and intellectual property, and I would ask Mr. Moukam to mute himself, if he doesn't mind. Olivier, est-ce que tu peux être en silence, s'il te plaît? Super. Firdaus, you ask about Netflix and intellectual property. Would you formulate your question, if you please?
Yes, sir. Yes, thank you. And this question is to you, John, but also I think generally to everybody. We've just had, I serve on the Department of Arts and Culture in South Africa. I serve on their film reference group. And just yesterday, Netflix wanted to meet with us. Netflix is really looking at coming into Africa, as you all know. And our conversation is around IP, intellectual property. And so Desiree, I think the questions you raise right now are also important around storytelling, writing and so forth. I think that as Africans, we really need to be quite alert and astute to what is happening. And I'm always concerned that we get very excited as soon as we hear Netflix, when we know that the budgets that Netflix puts into African content as opposed to any other region is a huge difference. And I think that the people who are representing us at Netflix, for example, you know, the woman's actually Shola from Nigeria. I wonder how much connection they still have with us on the continent, and whether they are pushing for us or whether they're obviously pushing for the commercial side of Netflix. So John, I would like to know from you what your experience has been with Netflix, and whether there is a conversation around budgeting for African content, African film, African filmmakers, and then the issue around intellectual property. Thank you.
To be totally candid, I have not had any meaningful dialogue at this point with Netflix regarding a specific project. However, my manager assures me that they are receptive to having a meeting where we will take a specific project into consideration and possibly have meaningful dialogue regarding the development of that project. Please forgive me, we have phones ringing.
No worries, no worries. So we actually have a question from Suraya Farouk. She comes from the UAE via Sri Lanka, all right? And she's asking, actually, Suraya, ask yourself the question, and then we're gonna move to Mikel Parish, who joined us again, all right? So Suraya, where are you? And ask your question. You're on mute.
John and everyone else, such a pleasure to be on this meeting. Thank you, Prudence, for having me here as your aide for Yanib. I have two questions, actually. The first one is, John, how do you see the recent BLM movement impact Hollywood, and how do you see the African cinema making a change towards that in terms of race and talent on a global scale?
I'm not sure if I understood your question totally. Could you rephrase it, please? The first part,
of course.
And then I'll address the second part of your question.
No problem. My question was, with the recent BLM movement that's happened, how do you think that impacts Hollywood on how it sees people of African descent, and how does it impact how Africa can make its new stand and rise? Like, we've seen how Black Panther blew up and people started seeing Africa through Hollywood. So I wanted to know how you see the Black Lives Matter movement change things within Hollywood.
I think it obviously made people more conscious and aware of the fact that all of us are involved in BLM, and that how effective that union of human beings is indicative of how we can correct so many of the misconceptions and so many of the wrongs. It obviously affected the entire industry, in that less films were being made, and those that were being made under great pressure and a lot of scrutiny that ordinarily wouldn't be addressed to motion pictures. But we're all obligated now, after this pandemic, to do the very best work that we can and not be involved in projects strictly for the economic gains to be made from those projects, but for the moralistic and real changes that we can make in society for the better of all mankind if we apply our tools to that industry. Because let's face it, through movies and television, we can reach more people more successfully than we ever could through traditional educational means.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So we're going to move to Mikel. Mikel, if you are here, if you can just say a word of introduction. If you're not, we're going to move to Tigist, who has a question. All right. So Mikel, are you around? I saw you listed, but I don't.
Yes, yes. I am.
Can we see your face? Or are you in your car, driving in Lagos?
I'm right here. It's kind of dark, so I'm just moving around trying to do some other stuff at home. Yes.
So introduce yourself, because I told him about you, but it's better that you tell me about the African Film Consortium and what you do and why everybody is here thanks to you.
Okay. Hi, John.
Good afternoon, sir. Well, good morning. I don't know what time it is where you are,
it's
but
evening.
hello.
It's evening in Lagos.
Good evening.
First of all, I want to say thank you for all you've done the past 60 years and how you've made a lot of dreams come alive. Thank you so much. We've seen you. I practically watched you, almost all my life. So it's exciting to have this conversation with you. I'm one of the people who's always been pushing for sustainable film industry in Africa and hoping that we can bring all our brothers, in diaspora back home to collaborate with us, which is one of the reasons why we established the Pan-African Film Consortium, which is a community of all Africans who make films and are stakeholders in the film industry. And I believe that through the Pan-African Film Consortium, we can create a lot of collaboration and then tell the stories we want to tell the right way. And of course, we hope to welcome you soon in Africa and ensure that your time in Africa, will be worth your while. Thank you for everything you've been doing. We hope to see you soon.
Wow.
I thank you. I look forward to our meeting and our possible collaboration. Thank you so much. Continued success, continued good health. God bless you.
Thank you. So we have a question, John, from Tigist that you met earlier. All right, Tigist, I know that you have always very, very critical questions. So fire it up. You're ready.
You've got me back again, John. We chatted earlier. It's wonderful to see so many filmmakers, and the talents are amazing. What I wanted to say is about distribution. I think African films, original African films, are not really that respected just yet. And somebody mentioned in terms of Netflix, whereby we submit, many of us, including my company, has submitted 4 original great content. And I know they've been watched, but the answer again is we're not sure if there is actually a viewership for this. So this is the issue we keep facing. Now, the direction we've taken is, rather than approach the big guys like Netflix, Amazon, is actually trying to collaborate with other platforms within Africa. There are many of us, and we're up and coming, and there are lots of talented filmmakers with original films. Try and work together so that they can be stronger. Then eventually we will be those people whereby Netflix and others will be looking to buy this new content, because the buying power of the African population is very, very high. So of course, the reason Netflix is coming to Africa is not because they want to expand, it's because they can see the potential of the money there is in Africa. I mean, I'm talking about, somebody said Africa should be a country rather than a continent, and I agree with that. 10 years ago, maybe I didn't, but now I agree with that, because the potential of the market in Africa is so huge that they're all eyeing to come in there. They're not doing us a favor, they're coming there because they can make money. So we just have to produce very good original stories that are new, traditional. Translation is very important, obviously, but I think that's where we need to be going, with good subtitling in international languages. And there are, I think Desiree, we met in Berlinale a couple of years ago, and I think the Berlin Film Festival is one of the best ones, if I may say so, for the African filmmakers, because it's small enough, it's inexpensive enough for people to get there, and there's a lot of sponsorship, and it's very welcoming. So we need to stand up together and say, we have these films. If you would like it, you have it. Otherwise, we'll find another way of delivering it. I think I speak for a lot of people, but I am talking from a distributor side of things.
But Tigist, you mentioned earlier during a conversation that, for example, in the movie in which John is recently out, Coming to America, there's a lot of, let's say, references about Ethiopia, but you were kind of sad that, it wasn't theatrically released in Ethiopia. So first of all, what is your message to John with regard to the references to Ethiopia in the movie? And second of all, what would you say, because you already mentioned everything about, distribution and the challenge that these big companies have when it comes to the continent, but, what do you say about Coming to America, the references in Ethiopia and John roles in it, and also how to reach out, how to better connect, these big movies to Africa? Is there intervention like John, like what he's doing right now? What do you suggest?
I think my suggestion would be to make especially this particular film, because we all want to watch it. I have watched it on Amazon because I can see it abroad. But what it needs to happen is it's got such great messages. It's fun. It's great. It shows the Black community in a fun way, in a very positive way. So it should be available not only in Ethiopia, but in lots of African countries, to be able to have a theatrical release as it would be anywhere else in the world. I don't understand why certain countries would be selected and others. It could be logistics. My company reached out to reached out and said, can we have a theatrical distribution in Ethiopia? The answer was no, no reason given, not yet, Nigeria and South Africa. I am going to follow it up and say, why not? Because we have theaters, we have cinemas, people can pay, they can watch it. It's a great film. Like John, people have watched Eddie Murphy for years. All the actors there are really good role models. And I think it's a fun film to have. So I would say, if you have the opportunity to bring this discussion we have today back to the people who make decisions and say, why are we not actually making a big deal of this film in Africa, where the population are much more relatable to the film than North America, Asia, Southeast Asia. They can't, the relation between Africa and the film is bigger than anywhere else in the world, is how I would feel. So there is a message for you, John.
So what do you say to that, John?
I agree. I would say that the actors, the producers and the directors need to unite and address that issue as one solid entity, because not being able to get your product out is a form of
can you mute yourself when you join, if you please, if you don't mind? Sorry, please go ahead, John. I'm sorry for that.
No, as I was saying, I think it's important that there be a united effort to bring attention to this issue, because it's not fair to those that are involved. Another generation of Africans and African Americans and people throughout the diaspora being deprived of accurate representation of their culture is a continuation of a very, very horrendous situation. We must take control of our own imagery. We must, absolutely. If you anticipate or you hope to have that imagery shown in its right perspective, with all the sensitivity due to any human, that any human being or any human condition warrants, then we must take control of our own imagery. End of story.
I agree.
Fantastic. We're going to move on to Caroline Carew, who just joined in. If she can introduce herself and ask the question that she wanted to John. Caroline.
Hello, Caroline.
Caroline Carew. If she heard me.
Hello. Sorry, yeah, I was muted, and my phone's about to die. Shucks, I've got to go and power it. No, I just joined in, but I was listening to the Netflix. They had a webinar yesterday with South African producers.
The battery died, maybe? No? Okay. It seems the battery died. So we're going to move to someone else. We're going to go back to that discussion about coming to Africa versus coming to America. And we're going to have that moderated by Desiree. Desiree, if you can, invite Anwar and PY Anan, who is part of the cast crew and cast from Coming to Africa, that we can have a discussion about coming to Africa versus coming to America, and the challenges that went on and why they made it happen. So Anwar, if you can move on, and Desiree, and as well as John. So go on.
Okay, so Anwar, I said, so he's the director of the film, the producer of director?
Yeah, producer.
Director.
Oh, director.
Yeah,
Okay,
PY is
cool.
the producer.
Oh, okay. So I think you said that you obviously were working on this. You guys were working on this film way before, obviously, the announcement for sort of this for the sequel of Coming to America. So I think my first question would be what was the motivation for you to want to tell this story, and what really is it about?
The motivation, this entire conversation is really a reflection of it. And I'm also an educator. I'm a film professor and an English professor as well. So I used to discuss certain things in my class, and I just realized growing up in America, we just always get a really, really one-sided view of everything about Africa. And it just speaks to what Mr. Amos was just saying about taking control of our images, because we get so much of it, as many of you said, from entertainment and movies, and we never had that. But the more I learned, I started to do this thing where I would pull up a nightclub in Ghana. One of my cousins who's in the movie and one of the producers was traveling back and forth to Ghana. And I used to show my students this nightclub in Ghana, and I would say, where do you think this is? Because, you know, they're college students, so they're interested in the nightclubs. And I would flip through the pictures and I would say, guess where this is? And they would say Atlanta or LA or New York and all of these places, because everybody in the pictures, you know, looked good, were dressed nice. And they couldn't believe that this place was in Africa. I was like, no, this is Ghana. And I would watch the shock on their faces, and they couldn't believe this place existed. And I know that once I had that same mentality. So I said, what if I could take that and put it in a motion picture over an hour and a half, 2 hours? Yep. What kind of response would I get? So I just wanted to create a story, which is what the movie is about. So obviously the Coming to America influence, growing up, obviously that's a movie that's dear to everyone's heart. So I said, what if you took two people from America and sent them the opposite way on an adventure to Africa, and they're learning about African culture, having this fish out of water kind of experience that Akeem and Simi had. So the plots are completely different, but it is a romantic comedy and a guy finding his queen in a way. But I
and you
just
have a Cleo McDowell as well character. Do you have a Cleo McDowell character?
There is kind of a Cleo, but yeah, not in that way really. But that's all it was. So I understand through art that we can tell these stories and get a greater impact sometime than we can just having a straight discussion. And from the response Amen. We've been getting, that's the response we've been getting. Everybody who sees it over here is like, oh, I want to go to Africa now. You made me, man, can I go? Like next time, take me with you. And that's exactly what we were trying to do. And I got connected through PY, and, you know, on that side, he was just, you know, the most valuable resource. He opened all the doors and made things happen. So together we pulled it off. And I think we were successful with it. So like I said, it's available now and it's been getting a great response.
So what do you say to that, John?
Excellent. Excellent. A true exchange between artists from both continents is going to expedite and help us reach our mission. So I look forward to working with you. As I said earlier, I want to meet you, become more conversant with your work, become conversant with your problems in getting your product out there. Perhaps in some way we can help each other. And that's really what it's all about with filmmakers. So continue, push on, be strong, and don't let anybody turn you around, man.
And I appreciate that. That means so much coming from you. You just don't know.
Awesome. Okay, so Angela has a question.
And you are an inspiration to me. Yes, Angela.
Hello, I'm back. Okay, so this is really just so exciting. You know, just being on this call and being with all the, you know, the global filmmakers. As a matter of fact, Hilda and I are going to be working on my first feature film, which will be shot between here and Lagos, thanks to yes, very, very soon. But my question to you is twofold. First of all, if you were, you know, you've been relevant for many years. If you were to look back as to, you know, the arc of your personal development and keeping yourself relevant, even though Hollywood doesn't give
you know, our actors as much love as we do, like yourself, maybe, you know, Morgan Freeman, your peers. You all have stayed relevant. Can you talk a little bit about your arc in terms of personal growth and you know, staying relevant and pursuing things when, you know, doors may not have been open to you as they are with some of your the Caucasian counterparts? That's the first question. Second question, what's your passion project, your passion African project or dream project that you'd still like to do?
To attempt to answer the first part of your question, I think the thing that has helped me preserve my sanity is that I never relied entirely upon the industry to furnish me with work. I started as a writer and I've continued to develop my skills as a writer, even though I was having a moderate amount of success as an actor and being offered roles. The roles I was being offered were not to my satisfaction. And being a writer and having confidence in my own writing skills and abilities, I sat down and created work for myself. And I think that is the key to this, a key to the situation wherein we are not offered the same roles, the same substance, and the same important roles that I feel we are entitled to. If you can't receive something where it's already been confirmed that they would like you to do a specific role or a character, then look at your own history, find a character or characters that you feel would be important to magnify their accomplishments and emulate what is already written for you. The history is there, the characters are there, the stories are there. So it's just up to us, it's incumbent upon us to make these stories come alive and to take control of these characters and take control of the stories that they have to tell. Our work has only just now begun.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Hilda, you have the second part. Let me just go back to Hilda. I will come back to you later. Is that okay, Angela? Alrighty. So Hilda, can you, we have a question from Dela, who is from Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. Hilda, if you're here, Hilda, is she here? Hilda is not there. Oh, her connection cut. Hilda? Okay, so if Hilda is not there, I'm just gonna read the question.
I am here.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Okay. So the First Lady of Nollywood. So I guess that you have your own questions, but we also have a question from a gentleman who I believe is from Nigeria, or lady, who is asking about funding. Yes, if you can just manage this, and then we can move forward.
What's the question, Prudence? I can't see the question.
All right.
Can you read the question?
Certainly. Dele is asking about the fact that, saying that in Africa, the challenge is about funding and distribution, all right? And he believes that collaboration between filmmakers in Africa and across the Atlantic, meaning African American, but also people from the Caribbean and South America, could help tackle that challenge. So he's asking you, the elders here, you as in terms of experience and so forth, you Hilda and you John, what should be the path to take in order to let's say overcome the financing, the funding issues and the distribution issues? It might be repetitive, but I think that there's a different angle that either of you can take on that one.
Okay, so let me take on the issue of finding the money. Yeah. And I'll start by saying we start with the traditional one. Friends, family, pulling from everywhere. Manpower is resource, okay? Manpower is resource. Things that you need, they're all resources if people can give them to you, people you know, right? There's something around all of us that we know for sure, that no one gives you their money until you have found a little for yourself and pushed out something small. So I would say always, always, always find from amongst you first. But the other way to go is to look for other people who are like you, who want to have this project, market your idea, your concept to them and see how they can collaborate. Let us assume that your total budget was 5 million, for instance, and somebody takes off the cost for your equipment from you. That's something removed from $5. I'm just using a figure, put it anywhere, put a naira in front of it, put dollar in front of it, put whatever currency. We're just using the figure there, 5 million, okay? And somebody takes away the cost for costumes from you, another person takes away the cost for logistics, and another person takes away the cost for equipment, and somebody takes away the cost for publicity. They are actually reducing from that 5 million. So if you get all of this from people around you, you don't need 5 million anymore. So we need to know that. That's one way of finding money. Another way of finding money, and this is going to sound very funny. Nearly every creative I know does not know how to discuss money. They're all very, artistic people, creative people, but not money people. Find the money people to talk money on your behalf. Give them what you want and let them go and source this money for you, or source other people who have money and are looking for what to do with the money. Leave the money since you're not good at it. Creatives do not know how to discuss money. They do not have the time to sit down and be the ones to put their business plans together. They have an idea what they want to do, but when it comes to articulating it as a document, they don't know what to do. So get people. The entire essence for being educated is being able to identify the things that you do not know and identify those who know it and getting them to handle it. So get these people. And for Amazon and Netflix and every big name who are on their way to Nigeria or who are already here, Black Lives Matter is not an American thing alone. It's also here. Our lives matter. Why? What kind of productions are they taking from us? What are they deciding that we should do to be on their platform? Is it promoting Africa or is it promoting them? So whilst we're looking for all this money and trying to get them to do collaborations with us, I think that we should not lose our Africanness. Let's not allow anything tamper with that. So money is within us, money is around us, but we must allow other people help us find this money.
Fantastic. John, what do you say to that?
Well, financing is obviously a prerequisite to any project being made. So a good collaboration between both of our countries, Ethiopia, the entire diaspora, and America, where the film industry is already established, that's essential. That some type of a relationship with equal creative input and equal profit sharing must ultimately happen, or at least continue to happen, because I believe it's already going on a small scale. We just need to increase the volume of these relationships and their potential will follow.
Fantastic. And we had an input from Firdos, all right, if I'm not mistaken. Firdos and Robert Peters. Robert, if you can show your face, I know that you haven't done your introduction, but Robert, if you can say some words, if you don't mind, and then share what you and Firdos think about, what just John said. So, Robert? Robert, okay. Maybe he's
okay. Sorry,
okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to move to a quiet space at home. Yeah. And John, by the way, you look exactly like my father. I tell you, you guys look too much alike. Every time we see you on TV, we always, my mother, my brothers would just come to me and say that looks like Daddy, exactly like Daddy. How you doing?
Maybe we are related somewhere down the line.
Yeah, I think so. I'm a Nigerian filmmaker. I'm based here in Atlanta. I have been actually trying to push. I made a film in 2013 called 30 Days in Atlanta that actually made it to the Guinness Book of World Record. And what made that film very successful in Nigeria was because I was able to pull the little muscle that I have to bring some African American actor into the project. I had Vivica Fox, I had Lee Whitfield, I had Carly Red from Love and Hip Hop, and it showed that a collaboration like that can actually work magic. It was a project we made. It was 30 Days in Atlanta up to tomorrow is still a blessing that keeps giving. And what made it work was the collaboration. And these days you try to book actors and sometimes it's just a little bit difficult. They're giving you conditions that you almost can't meet. I was trying to book an actor and was telling me to get him a private jet to get a private jet to fly into Lagos. You understand? I said, no.
Gosh.
Yeah, he wanted a private jet to get into Lagos. And yeah, what I would just wish we can work and you as a father, as a leader in the industry, is just to create that platform in such a way that we can dance a little bit for each other. Like we don't have all the budgets in Africa, you understand? But we can do something quite reasonable. You understand? Creating a platform where we can have that smooth, you understand, smooth collaboration between actors, filmmakers on both sides of the aisle. Yeah, I've lived in Atlanta for 16 years now, so I consider this is home, but I am still a Nigerian. I still consider myself a Nigerian filmmaker who is based in Atlanta. So thank you very much, and it's nice having you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Hilda, for giving me this opportunity to speak, but that is just what's on my mind. And I'm just going to let you say a word or two to that. Yeah.
It's a pleasure to you and to hear your aspirations and your progress. I have family in the Atlanta area. A granddaughter, I have family there. And one of my favorite restaurants, ironically enough, is located in Atlanta. It is a Liberian restaurant, or at least offers Liberian cuisine. It's called The Village. And it's, if you should get a hankering for some Liberian food, contact The Village, and she can make anything that your soul and your heart desires. Palm butter, cassava leaf, you name it, she's got it, and it's delicious. But aside from that little trek to a restaurant, I want to come to Atlanta, meet you, have dinner with you, and discuss our mutual aspirations in regards to filmmaking. I think it could be fruitful. I look forward to many, many months, years, in fact, of watching you work and prosper. God bless you and continued success.
Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I will take you up on that, and I will try to connect with you.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
So, John, we're going to follow up on your live, you're living in Africa for some time. I think many people here in this audience don't actually know that you actually lived in Liberia for some time. So I'm going to ask Girly to ask you a question about your life in Liberia. So Girly, can you jump on and just, interview John about his life in Liberia and what he came, what was the experience and so forth? Girly, and then we're going to go with Firdaus, who has a question. Girly, is she there or gone fishing? Obviously she's gone.
Unmute me. You muted me, so I muted myself.
So sorry.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody, or at least it's evening on my side of the world. First and foremost, thank you so much, Prudence, for this opportunity. And then also everybody else, as well as John, particularly for making time to have this conversation with all of us. You are a legend, an icon, and somebody that has inspired me so much in my own journey in terms of being an actress. I think the first time that I watched Roots from that perspective was the first time that I realized the power of filmmaking, the power of acting, the power of method acting, because the first time I think we watched as kids in the 90s, we watched the Roots series with my parents and seeing my dad, that's such a macho man, being so affected by your performance to the point that he cried, I then realized the power that we have in order to change and inspire, and as well as change our own narratives as Africans. So, okay, as Prudence said, Liberia, it's actually interesting that you're asking me to ask John these questions, because it's actually something I did a bit of research on that regarding you. And I heard that your accent for playing Kunta Kinte was also inspired by your time in Liberia. And you're very adamant and very sure about, because I think you shared the interview that I watched, you had shared a narrative or a story about a gentleman that came over with a machete, and he said this was somebody who was in the prison that, and basically he was so convinced by your accent that he thought you were that gentleman. So how did you navigate, for example, that point between the producers and the directors? Because obviously you spend time within Africa itself, in Liberia, you know? So how were you able to truly convince them that, you know what, the accent that I'm depicting, that I've honed, that I feel this, that is a true representation of this character? How were you truly able to convince them? Because obviously also it's a question of like the network, production companies, distributors. There's so many things that inform a lot of things that we have to do as actors within storytelling or within a film or within a series. So how are you able to navigate that reality?
I had some friends who were native-born Liberians and Nigerians and from various other parts of the continent. And when I would meet with them, I would ask them to listen to my accent. We would just converse about any subject matter. And after a while, they told me, they said, it's virtually flawless now. I mean, I can't distinguish between your accent and that of the others. And when my life was threatened, because I was mistaken for a prison guard in Bowman Hill Diamond Mine, that convinced me. I said, if I have to switch back to an American accent to convince this gentleman that I am not the prison guard who mistreated him, I think this will pass muster with with an American audience. And it did. And after the director of that particular episode, in which my accent was questionable, he surrendered to the reality of the fact that my accent was correct, at least as far as the Liberians and the indigenous people were confirmed. And that was gratifying, because I knew that I had made the right choice, not predicated on ego as an actor, but predicated on the realities of the reaction to my interpretation of the accent. So that was gratifying.
Okay. I think I would, Prudence, I'm not necessarily going to stick to the line of questioning, but the one thing that I kind of experienced from my own perspective as an actor, writer, and producer from Namibia, is I keep getting all these requests from young people that might not necessarily be academically inclined. You know what I mean? Like there's a formal curriculum system and a syllabus that obviously this is what we teach our kids. But what is it that we can do as professionals within the industry to try and change? Because I'm even looking at my own personal situation. My agreement with my parents were that I am going to go study something where I'll be able to make a conventional type of living, because at the time acting, writing, producing, dancing was not necessarily an option in terms of, it was perceived to be, it's a hobby. So I am saying, I feel it is a responsibility for me as a professional in the industry right now to change that narrative. So what is it that we can do as people within the industry to ensure that these kids that don't have the skills in terms of science or geography, how do we make sure that they don't fall through the cracks? That one idea was like, obviously at some point to establish a school or a retreat type of thing in order to to assist these children. But also in the long run, I personally feel, what can I do? And I'm basically asking you for advice. What is it that I can do to try and maybe lobby with our Ministry of Education in my country? Because I have so many kids that say like, no, I've reached grade 10. I don't know what that would relate to the American education system, where they're saying like, unfortunately, yes, this is the formal conventional education system. However, that's not my passion. I want to drop out of school, but also knowing that in my country, in order for you to even be a cleaner, you need to have grade 12, because that is just the standard that has been set up. So what is it that I can do in order to help change this narrative from filmmaking or even the entertainment industry as a career path, that is not being perceived to be a hobby? Because that's the case right now. Even from parents, they'd always tell you like, no, go become a doctor, go become a lawyer, and obviously it's also because we don't necessarily have examples in our countries to share like, this is a success story. So what is it that I can do? Because I feel I would like to ensure that people that come after me do not have to have the same struggles that I've had, because then that defeats the purpose of me having taken this path and gone through the struggles that I've been through. So that's basically one of my questions.
We're going to ask that question to Hilda, because John has an internet issue for the moment. So Hilda, if you can answer that, because it's very interesting, because in Nigeria, she herself is an educator, and she educates young people who would create in the creative arts. I think she's very well versed in the matter. She can answer that. And we're going to get back John soon. And then we're going to have a follow-up question with Firdos. And anybody who hasn't had the opportunity to talk, please help yourself in a few, because we're going to close the conversation in 20 minutes. So Hilda, if you can answer that question from Girly here, and then we're going to get back.
Okay, Girly, I'll answer your question very quickly too.
Yeah.
All across Africa is the same story. No one believes in us until we begin to establish who we are. It's not different out here. Before Nigerian entertainment industry began to gain respectability, it was because some of us just kept moving on, irrespective of the rejections or whatever else that we faced. Parents didn't trust that we knew what we were doing. It was funny to parents and other adults or other professionals, even in the university. They teased those of us in theater departments, and they called us names. They called us jumpers. Okay, so for them, all we did was come to school and play. But you have to keep pushing these kids, the pre-teens, the teens. You have to keep ensuring that they stay focused on this passion. So whether they take them to other things or not, the ones that are creative minded, you have to try to guide. You can start it first as after school program, and then start talking to Ministry of Education in your country about holding school challenges, so that you can bring these creative kids together and give them platforms for expression. And then when they are out of secondary school, you can take them in and form them into cine clubs. I'm using these models because I used them and they worked for me. Okay, so you create the cine platforms for these young people, and you begin to teach them the various kinds of things that can happen within the performing arts. And then those of them that you see that are gifted in other areas of the arts, encourage them and bring in your friends to teach those ones. Don't stop. Just keep going, keep pushing. The minute your country accepts your cinema culture and they see you build stars amongst you, because that was what happened when we built stars. When stars began to grow out of Nollywood, parents brought children and pleaded for these kids to be trained.
Oh, wow.
Schools will call you now and say, please come and run a theater program for us in our school. Yet before now, it never would have happened. But so you have two things that you must work on. One is keep the young people focused on their dreams and their passion for the art. The second is for the ones who are already in the business, ensure that amongst them, you create stars who will become role models and reference points for parents. That's where it works all the time. The parents will see examples to use, the kids will see the dream for tomorrow, and you would have the fulfillment of having given hope to some people.
That's fantastic. It's fantastic. Johnny's, just for information, Johnny's having some challenges with the connection. As you know, we had to postpone this call because of the connection issue. He'll just pop in to say bye because he has other commitment, but we can continue this conversation since we are building bridges. We have American, African American, and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna go back to the African American in this call. I guess Anwar is one of them. How many African American do we have here? Anwar, Angela, and who else? Okay, so the question is for you. Is a question from Dele, who's saying, who is asking about talking about the representation of African accent in Hollywood by the African American. He says that it usually makes him cringe. All right, and he wanted to express his displeasure to actually. Dele, can you just ask the question, because obviously it's a critical one, and I don't want to be the one to cover the sad news. So Dele, can you show your face and just say what is wrong with the African American butchering African accent, if it's the right word to use? And Anwar, you're welcome to answer here, and Angela as well. Where is Dele? Well, Dele is gone hiding, obviously. Or not. All right. But
Prudence, it's very funny.
Yeah,
if I may.
Yes, yeah.
It's very funny how when you watch Hollywood movies and they're talking about Africans and all Africans speak in a particular way.
Exactly.
They don't even make any effort to try to even study to see that, okay, so everyone must sound the same. It's ridiculous. There are Africans in Africa who can still do these things. Why don't you allow these Africans teach the Hollywood? If you insist on using the ones that are based in Hollywood, that's fine. But at least allow the Africans in Africa who are in the same business, work with them. Don't keep changing and altering things and butchering, as it were. The same way that I watched the series, the names were Igbo. The language was South African twisted attempt at sounding
even in Black Panther, Hilda. Even in Black Panther, the Himba lady, the queen, it was like.
But guys, you have to understand that, okay, they actually do the same for every other place. I mean, for example, Russian or other European countries. I guess that it's something that is more to do with, let's say, the abilities for filmmaker to be very dedicated to accuracy. Because at the end of the day, even when you see Black Panther, they did a lot of work in terms of researching costume and so on and so forth. And the actors themselves, they took upon themselves to research, speaking with certain accent. I think that there was one who spoke with Yoruba Nigerian accent, another one with South African, and so on and so forth. So I think at the end of the day, also depends on what amount of accuracy, all right, the production and all the work, all the people behind the scene want to portray the movie at the end of the day. But I guess that other professionals here, Anwar and Angela and Emanuela, can you tell us what do you think about that? And also maybe Frank.
I would say it begins with what I said earlier. Is sad, but again, we grow up with very, very, very narrow portrayals. So early on, like, I mean, you could ask a lot of people still when they say Africa was just a country. I mean, I made a joke about it in my movie, but there's very little understanding. So we go to school K through 12, you know, we go through our entire school. There's really no attempt. So we have to break those chains when we get older. So we can have a formal education. You can go all the way to college and you might get a little geography at some point, but they really make no effort to teach us anything about the nuance between these different countries and Namibia and Ghana and Nigeria, South Africa. It becomes one thing. So then when you have actors, they're doing some imitation most likely of something that they've seen on TV that was probably wrong in the first place. And then you have certain serious actors who will draw upon specific experiences or really study and do their work. So those are probably the ones who you all can point to and say they did a better job. But I know even Chadwick Boseman, I forget what country, but I remember an interview. I know they spent some time in South Africa, so I don't know if it was South Africa, but he at least had an idea of what he was trying to do. And he said he drew upon experience, like you all just said, John, Amos did with Liberia. So first of all, I like to apologize for every African-American who did that and messed it up and made us look bad. But a lot of time it comes from that, what they would say, Americentric. We grew up where there was no Nollywood, Bollywood. It was just Hollywood and the world revolves around us. You know, we don't have to study other things. It's a very arrogant way to think. That's the perspective that we come up with. And then usually as a person of the diaspora, if you're conscious enough, you take it upon yourself to say, this is wrong. There's more out there. Let me educate myself. And that's the difference you see. A lot of actors still don't do that. And that's what you get. But the ones who do that, they're the ones who nail it. You know, take their time, study, say, okay, I'm trying to do Nigeria, or I'm trying to do South Africa, or at least West Africa, East Africa, at least something, you know, make some distinction. But I think it's just that we grow up kind of naive. And again, we have to educate ourselves. I think you all would say, from your perspective, growing up, you were probably taught far more about America and about the Western world than we are the other way, or at least hearing about it, because certain TV, you know, things you're getting that honestly we don't get. So we take it upon ourselves to try to do a better job when when you become a professional actor at this.
We have some more. Thank you for that, Anwar. Saint Obi. I'm not too sure if it's a gentleman or lady, but I'm sure it's one way or the other or in between. So Saint, do you have any insight on this? Saint Obi. Okay, maybe he's frightened or not.
Wow, Prudence.
Okay, maybe. Okay.
Maybe you frighten them with the butchering of their names, see?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to Firdaus because she was raising her hand earlier. Firdaus, I know that you have some questions. Firdaus? Okay. And Emmanuel Day. Okay, Firdaus is, I'm going to ask you on mute. All right. Firdaus and Emmanuel Day have a question. Please help yourself. All right, obviously.
Hello and good evening, everyone.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
My name is Emanuela and I'm speaking from Nigeria currently. I would like to make an opinion or ask a question. However it comes out, I think I'll be responded to properly. But this is from a viewer's perspective. And I'm really intrigued and I have learned so much from all the great minds in this room today, mostly filmmakers, actors, and people from the creative aspect or side. But then from the viewer's perspective, there's just this stereotype about maybe films we watch or films we grew up seeing or actors or people, you know, we grew up seeing in the media or in television or in, you know, film. And I agree with Anya, I think that's his name, Anwar, I'm sorry.
Anwar.
I think first off, we should come back to the fact that most times we have a cultural identification problem. So this is my opinion, because when you watch some films we used to see back then growing up, it was really indigenous, it was specific, and it was culturally representative about who we are as Africans. And over the years, film has evolved, there's collaboration, there's merging with, you know, the Western and the Western ways, yeah. So we're trying to incorporate all these things into our movies, but then we begin to lose this identity. In terms of the accent, you have actors now trying to speak in accents we don't understand. I know a friend of mine came in one time from the UK, and he was trying to watch a Nollywood movie. So this is no disrespect anyways, but he was lost because they were trying to portray British accents, but these are Nigerians. And he was confused because he didn't even recognize or understand the accent. And even in interviews and in ways they speak, I understand the need to speak eloquent English or try to, you know, converse properly, but there's this thing about us trying to totally eradicate our Africanness. Okay. And I think in the near future, if we don't address that, it can be a problem. So my question is, how do you think this won't affect us as viewers and, you know, as just people viewing?
How do you keep the Africanness in the movie? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yes. In terms of accent and in maybe cultural identity. That's what I mean.
But having in mind that cultural identity are moving entities itself, meaning that an identity is not the same as it was 50 years ago. So
okay,
so
yes.
But anyway, I'm not an expert here. Let's go ask let's say something like.
Could I ask one more thing on that subject before you move on?
Yes, we do.
Because it just occurred to me, and anyone in here could answer, but I'd be interested to hear how different, in America, right? And there's some actors from the UK right now who are killing it as far as coming over here and doing accents in American, and people over here are saying they're taking all our roles from the African Americans. They're doing a great job. But an East Coast accent from someone, say New York, Philadelphia, is very different than the South, and somebody maybe from Atlanta, Georgia, which is very different from somebody in LA on the West Coast, Los Angeles, which is very different from somebody in the Midwest, Chicago, and all of this. So to your ears, and anybody can answer this from the continent, how different does that sound? And do you think you will be able to identify, like if someone said, okay, which one is Los Angeles? Which one is New York? Which one is Miami? Because I have no idea how that all would sound to your ears, because while it's one country, it's vast. So there are a lot of different accents in this one country.
If you don't, I'm going to respond first. I'm going to say, it depends if you are used to hearing them. You would know how to make a difference between a southern, someone who used the southern drawl or someone who is from the west and the east coast. But then again, for the wider audience, it's no story. But at the same time, some of the movie makers, for example, Spike Lee, when he's filming mostly now in New York, you get to hear the very specific, not only the slang, the how do you call it, the accent and so on, so that are very specific for New York. I think it depends on how the filmmakers, and what stories is told. If, for example, it's a Spike Lee movie and it's a movie about, you assume that it's a movie about New York and people from New York. It makes sense. But I'm going to leave it to other people to answer that. Who wants to give some answer to that here in the audience?
This
I want to contribute to this.
Yes, Robert. Yeah, please go on. Ah, no, it's PI. Yeah, PI.
PY, Prudence.
Sorry, I'm French. Remember, I'm French, so I don't.
I know it's an accent. It's an accent. That's exactly what we're talking about here. You know, it's all right. Hello, guys. Good evening. This is my first time talking, so I need to do the right thing. You know, introduce myself properly. I'm in Accra right now, but I want to start from where Hilda was talking about creatives, you know, not knowing money. 100%. You hit it right on the nail. We need to open. Yes, it's very true. And we try to do it so hard, and then it takes part of our time, which we don't already have. You know, so we don't even need to mix all of that. Let's hire the right people, come in, and get it done. Accent. I think Hollywood has only one African accent, and that's. I think Hollywood has only one African accent, and that's it. I've had it all my 30-something years to 40 years of my life. It's one accent, whether it's roots or whether it's coming to America or whether it's any of the big name movies. It's one accent. So it's about time where they need to invest in people. I don't know who was talking about that earlier on, where we can actually bring, if you want to sound, if it's Hotel Rwanda, you need to sound like the natives of that country. You know, we shot Coming to Africa, we sounded like Ghanaians because we are in Ghana. So we have, it has to be like that. You know, I think this is how we can slowly change the narratives, our favorite word in the creative industry. You know, we have to find ways and means to get it in there bit by bit, you know, massage it till it fits right. And if we don't put our foot down and make these calls, it will eventually still go against us because we'll still be mocked, we'll still not get what we're looking for. So as far as the accent is concerned, I think, yes, we need to do better. We need to make sure that, look, if there's a Hollywood studio that's shooting a movie, you know, people in the film industry needs to have that phone call. Call that person from Nigeria or call that person from Uganda. You know, we need to position ourselves for them to also know us. And that's something we don't do that much. So for accents, yes, that's what I would say about that.
Fantastic.
Prudence, may I add something to that regard?
Okay. The floor is yours. I just have some feedback from John. Obviously, the connection is very bad. All right, so might not be able to come back. However, we can keep the conversation going if you are interested. And I'm going to take all of your contact details so that he can, let's say, reach out to you after. Is that okay for you guys? If anybody is not happy with that, just raise your hand or not. Is everybody happy with that or not?
Yeah, we are happy.
Everyone
with that,
is happy.
Who wouldn't be?
Let's continue this conversation. We have Hilda there, we have Desiree, we have a host of very important and interesting, you know, filmmakers here. So please, Desiree and Hilda, I'm sure that you. Oh no, it was my goodness.
It was girly.
It was certainly
girly.
Okay.
Basically what I wanted to say and what PY was talking about with regard to the accents, what I wanted to say is like during my time, there was a time that I did an acting workshop in the States, and it was with Stephen Mammel, who's basically an accent voice coach type of person. And what I wanted to highlight was what I realized then, they had in America, they have a clear distinction in terms of, because they use the vowels to be able to determine this is the Southern accent, this is the New York accent, this is the LA accent, versus what we currently have in Africa. We've not defined that. Do you get what I mean? We've not, and I think it's our responsibility as filmmakers to play a role in defining what is a Ghanaian accent, somebody from the north of Ghana or from the south of Ghana. What is a Namibian accent if you are Damara, Herero, Oshiwambo? What is a South African accent if you're Xhosa, Zulu? Because what I realized then during that, and it was actually a conversation that Stephen Mammel and I had, because I asked him, so how do I apply the same principles in terms of accent training that you've taught me from the perspective of various American accents? How do I apply that to African accents? And he was saying, girlie, that is something that has not been explored. We don't, it's not, and it's something that he was actually saying, it would be a good thing for us to collaborate on and look at, and also to define it, because that's also part of representation of who we are. So I think it is our responsibility as filmmakers to put in that investment in order to ensure that if I am Yoruba from Nigeria or Igbo from Nigeria, my accent is represented properly. If I am a Maasai, or if I am, so it's our responsibility, because unfortunately, the Americans have invested money in defining their accents. We have to do the same thing to ensure that we are represented properly, so that there's at least, not to say a Bible per se, but in this context, I'm going to refer to it as a Bible in terms of our various dialects. Because what I realized in my research, when we were doing The White Line, Desiree myself, where I had to act the role of Sylvia, I had to learn to speak Oshi Herero and even Afrikaans, which is a language that we spoke during and that we still speak in Namibia, which was basically, we had to learn the Bantu education system, and that was in Afrikaans. So people were forced to speak Afrikaans. So majority of the people in Namibia speak Afrikaans. But then when you're looking at it from a dialect perspective, I had to learn that if anything that I'm saying in Afrikaans with a B, to translate that to my vernacular dialect and accent, I would have to add an M. If anything was starting with a D, that's when you add an N. So I think we have to invest the same resources in order for us to define clearly, this is, instead of us then being represented by America, pardon me for saying this, as one uniform of an accent, but actually we have different dialects, we have different accents. That's just something.
Fantastic. Okay. So we have a gentleman by the name of, that hasn't spoken yet, Frank Onouviet, and we have another one by the name, Justine Atkinson, that haven't spoken yet. Can you just share your insights so far onto this, accent matter or more? And Florence Duta had her hand up. Sorry. Let's go.
Can I go first?
Yeah, please.
Because it's way after midnight here. Hi, my name is Nduta, and I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I just want to agree with the ladies here and the guys out here about the accents. For me, being a Kenyan, most of the time I keep on hearing Hakuna Matata, which is Hakuna Matata. Yes. It's Swahili. And then you imagine a lot of films that are shot. Why are you laughing, Dele? I can see you. What's in your problem now? Now that's a West African accent. Now in Kenya, it's quite surprising, and it drives me crazy when I see a film that has been shot or in South Africa or in Western Africa, and suddenly there's a line that comes or sentence comes in very bad Swahili. It drives me insane. So I agree with Girlie that research is key. Just like you make time to learn different accents, like when you come from New York, you speak in a certain way. You come from plain old town, Texas, you talk in a certain way. You come from, LA, you have a certain way. I think it's up for us, if we're going to be telling stories and we're going to collaborate in partners in telling our stories, let's get it right.
Yeah.
Really, let's get it right, because like we heard from the audience, if the audience is picking it, then really there is a problem. We should be very careful. That's it.
Fantastic.
All right, guys. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.
So we had Robert and Regina and Firdaus who had something to say. Let's start with Firdaus. Firdaus, if she had something, or Regina, if you want to add something, and then Regina or Saint.
Hello, good evening. I'm Regina Udalo.
Okay,
and I am actually a film producer from Norway. I probably am the only European here. in terms of living in Europe. No, I've just, it's a privilege to be on the platform to listen to, of course, all the contributions, but particularly hearing the desire for us to look at the way forward for Africa, right? In terms of, our industry. And because we also know that we are controlling the narrative now, we are no more trying to control the narrative. We are already doing that. And being out here as a filmmaker, one of the most strongest things for me was people in Norway, for example, hearing that I'm making films in Nigeria or I'm going back home to make films, and they're actually very surprised. And I'm actually surprised that they're surprised because I don't know, even if you live 30, 40 years in Europe, you would never, or anywhere else outside of Africa, you would never understand their culture as much as you understand yours. And so telling narratives from where we come from is very natural. And I think that we have figured out what kind of narratives we want to tell. And just like Hilda Mam said, I think when she talked about the distribution, a lot of times people talk about, I'm looking for a way to distribute outside of Africa. But I wanted to kind of encourage us to look for a way for us to find our distribution within Africa before we step out. And the reason I'm saying this is because I had the opportunity of studying in India. I did my master's there. And you cannot imagine how vast India is, well, until you get into the country. Now, India is so huge. They have different parts of different industries, actually, that exist in one country. But they were able to figure out how to sell their films within the country, so much so that whatever comes out that we see is just a little contribution to how their distribution goes. And so for me, I kept thinking about them like, so then there has to be a solution as to, if I make a film in Nigeria, I should be able to take it, meet my other filmmakers across every other African country and sell within Africa. Now, if it crosses to Europe or to the diaspora market, then that becomes an addition. But if we cannot figure out how to sell our films within ourselves, trust me, we would never find a way. There is no, because I've had a really bad experience as to, oh, have this international distributor, made all the noise, then what? Nothing, not a dime came out of it. And so I started retracing my steps back, and I thought, this is the only solution if we can figure out how to sell our films. We cannot continue making films where we cannot sell. Yeah. Every single person on this platform, when you think about it, starts from funding to nobody has a bad idea or story. Yeah. And then you struggle from family and friends. And just like, a couple of us said, you get collaboration. In some cases, maybe you don't manage, in some you do. But then after that, you spend what, 15 million naira, 30 million, 80, 100, and you can't even recover the cost of production. Then there is a problem because we cannot sustain our industry this way. So for me, it's just an opportunity to I usually have not been able to attend most of the programs. And so I'm very pleased to be part of this one, particularly today, just so I can share my thoughts as well, especially because, like I said, being in Europe and seeing how, they have all the resources, they have all the funding, they have everything. And they still find it difficult, by the way. Then imagine us in Africa who are still struggling to find the funds or the market and all of that. So please, I want to encourage all of us to think of a serious solution as soon as possible to distribution for ourselves, and then the rest will come even more naturally. Thank you, everybody.
I have a question for you,
okay,
Regina.
Yes.
You mentioned that distribution on the continent. If let's say today you had, for example, because there were a few distributors already in this conversation, you had a Better View, or let's say Gravel Road in South Africa, or Silverbird in Nigeria come, and on the other hand you have Netflix and Amazon. Which one would you go for?
To be candid, I'd rather go for the African ones. And there's a reason I say that. We all know what, yes, Netflix has come to Africa, right? Unfortunately, they are the ones paying. Now, the reason the other people aren't paying, we don't know. We need to figure out why are the other distribution platforms not able to pay for content? And that is actually the problem that I realize with Africa. We have good people, we have upcoming ones. And when you look at the different platforms, everybody offers fantastic deals. But at the end of the day, you don't get paid for the content. And as content creators, if you don't have the money you've invested coming back to you, how do we continue making more content?
In that same vein, how do you explain that? Because you mentioned India earlier, which is a fantastic market.
Yes.
But, if you look at, let's say, historically, Hollywood is the first biggest market in the world, and then you have, guess what?
No, India is actually the biggest.
No, Hollywood, which is the second largest market in terms of production, but the largest one in terms of revenues. All right. And
yes, absolutely.
30 years. And I think that it's a market that have shown, I'm not talking about the quality of what that has shown profitability. And I think that the likes of Hilda, Robert, and everybody that comes or work around in Hollywood can explain that it has been a market that has sustained itself for some time and has shown that, as far as distribution, it has like challenges and stuff like that. But what I meant, because when you say, for example, that we need to, and so on and so forth, it's also ignoring the fact that market like Nollywood that is existed for 30 years have managed to become the largest, market
in
the world. So how do you adjust that to your statement? And maybe someone here who's from Nollywood can explain how this, the success story of Nollywood happened, because it's kind of in contradiction a bit with what you just said.
Yeah, so I am happy you said that. I actually grew up watching Hilda, like from I'm in my 30s, right? So obviously I watched her literally all my life. So I have also seen the growth of the industry, of the industry. Now, this might come into a lot of, and I would say this to a lot of independent filmmakers, which is the group I fall in. But they would probably kill me for saying this, but I can't tell you categorically that even though the DVD market, which today has literally been phased out, was what made the industry grow. Okay, it hasn't, right?
But no, it's still large.
Okay, now thank you for saying that, ma'am, because this is actually what maintained the industry. And this is what a lot of people have forgotten. Now we've moved to cinemas. And cinema structure and everything. Trust me, I'm not saying it's wrong, but you know where India got it right. India sells their ticket for 10 rupees. If you convert 10 rupees, at least as of the time I was there, 1 rupee was 3 naira. Sorry, for the Nigerians, I don't know the other currencies. So the Nigerians will understand this conversion easier. 1 rupee is 3 naira. So if you have a ticket at 10 rupees, that was 300 naira. But if we go to the cinemas today, we're not paying anything less than 1,500 naira or even 2,500. Now, what did they do? Their target audience was to get as many people to the cinemas. We, in other words, have made cinemas very elite. It's an event place, and you cannot recoup your money because the majority of the population of people who should be watching your films cannot afford it. So that's where I'm trying to talk about relatability.
And what do you say also about the new SVOD platforms, the Aeroko, the Aeroko TV, the Ebony Life, all of those platforms that allow a cheaper entry or access to movies?
For lots, yeah. Unfortunately, they're also now creating their own content, right? A lot of them now are doing their original content. So you come with your content and there's no space because they'll be like, no, I already have that one. So I think it's maybe we restructuring and refiguring it out as to what we want to do with the content. I would say this, even though people have original content, I mean, even Netflix has shown us, Netflix acquires the most number of content, but they still make their original content, which means that you cannot, as a platform, solely dependent on your original content. You still need other people's content to run your platform. So people need to be able to, so the point here is, if I call Iroko, they'll tell me, I already have, we're making our own film, so they're not paying for your content. And this doesn't go to only Iroko, it goes to a lot of other online SVODs. Because I've actually called people and said, oh, I have this content, and be like, oh, sorry, we already, we have made our own, the budget for this year has And then you're stuck with your content you've created, and you're wondering, then what? And then all of us run to Europe or to America to try and see how we're selling this content out. And don't forget that these people too have their content. And they, at that point, are not thinking, okay, we don't have an audience for your content in Europe yet. So how do you fit into their market? Which is why I said that we have to think of restructuring Africa. How do we sell our content within ourselves that we already have an audience for before going out?
Hilda, I'm sure that you have something to say to that, or anybody else.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to move very quickly from the question that the First Lady asked about Nigerian actors in speaking regular English in a script that is set in Nigeria and yet trying to be British or American, or like we call it, Shanghai accent. Shanghai accent, because it's not clear, you don't know who is talking and all of that. These are all the outcomes of wanting to be globally acceptable, quote and unquote, because people are beginning to give standards and saying your English as a Nigerian is in a certain way, but they forget also that you're speaking as a native. So for instance, now, like me now, when I be Zon woman now, if I want to talk for a Zon language and I talk like this, somebody go question over English and I speak. Now English I speak and I show my people they talk. Okay, so I say that and somebody says it is not English, but that's how my people speak English, and then they stop laughing. Okay, so now you have people everywhere, including the Nigerian platforms, asking for people to speak in a particular way. Colonial mentality, if you ask me. So we all still need that training for actors to say, stay in your character. Build it, own it, live it. And then when you finish, you can speak Shanghai accent outside, but not on set, because this is your work. This is a life you're living, and live it completely. Then moving on to distribution. And I'll tell you how Nigeria built the reputation of being second largest, blah, blah, blah. When we started, our target was Nigerian market with 200 million Nigerians. If 20% of 200 million people buy my movie, I'm a multi-billionaire. I do not have the number of cinemas that India has, for instance, but I have few cinemas, and my few cinemas, the capacities are not that large, so I cannot charge 300 naira per person. Otherwise, I'll be making a loss. Plus, the cinema owners take as much as 70%. They too are another killers. So even Nigeria needs to revert back to her old system. You know, when we tell people that the CDs, the DVDs, they are still selling like hot cake. Where the cinemas work is in Lagos. How many cinemas do you have in Eastern Nigeria? So the reputation that we have globally of being second largest and all of that is as a result of what is happening in Onitsha, Opaiweka, and Idumota. It is not as a result of what is happening in our cinemas. No, actually think about it. After us, Nigeria has not been able to create any more stars. We haven't, because the platform disappeared. right? So we have a lot of people who are acting. So now you can come here and say, oh, I recognize Hilda, I watched her from blah, blah, blah. Who else do you recognize? If we put the new ones, the younger actors who just, you know, maybe 10 years back, you may not even recognize them. You may not, because they don't have the consistency that we had. And what gave us that? Distribution network. We first catered for our people. Our people loved us first. Then Ghanaians joined in loving us. Then South Africans came in and began to love us. And that is why Hollywood is on her way to Africa, which is why I'm saying Africa is a country, not a continent. So if we all come together, all of us Africans, whether in diaspora or back home, and we build African markets as our distribution channel. Think about the population of Africa. If we can reach all of Africa, Hollywood will come here. No one will give us standards of how our accents will sound, what costumes we have to wear, how we have to work, what kind of stories we need to tell. We have better stories.
Agreed.
Spider-Man stopped flying.
So can we do this? Can we all collaborate to make this happen?
Yes.
Let's do this.
So I think what is important, if I may, Michael, if you're still around, is to talk about the networks that we have. So in terms of the Africa Film Consortium, as I said earlier, there are about 250 of us. We are launching in Luxor Film Festival, the African Film Festival Association. So an association, which is important. And I think that network would be fantastic. And then, Gurley, I was thinking, and Hilda has spoken quite extensively around children film clubs, children film camps, you know, but it's all around media. So it's media literacy and film literacy. And if we begin to grow an audience, a discerning audience, that's what we need. So that we start with the children and you get them to understand African cinema, African storytelling, African narrative. That education is important and we should start at school level. So it's not about leaving school because you are tired or you're not interested, but how do you enhance it? How do you grow it? How do you bring them, the young people, how do you make them film literate? And as Michael is saying all the time about the digital explosion, we need to see how we get young people and ourselves. And we know the issue around broadband, you know, the costs, you know, related to that. But you'd be surprised that actually data is cheaper in Nigeria than it is in South Africa. So you actually in a better position. And also, as you say, Hilda, it's your numbers. You are working for your market. You 200 and somewhat million people. You don't actually need anybody else. And that is fantastic. And that's for us as South Africans to look up to you and as you say, collaborate, work together. I'm happy to say that South Africans are now coming to Nigeria. Some of the, you know, Jonathan Koval and what's your friend? Lance Giver, you know, the cinematographers of note are coming there because people are beginning to wake up. Even if it took them a little while to realize how fertile the Nigerian space is. It's wonderful. So this is really very interesting. Let's continue the networking. And please join us, the African Film Consortium. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. Talk to Michael, become part of this. And if any of you are available to go to the Luxor Film Festival between the 26th of March and the 30th, please do go connect with the Luxor Film Festival. They would probably be able to host you. They might not be able to pay your flights, but they might be able to host you. So there might be accommodation. Michael can talk to you about that. If you can go, it would be fantastic. Please, you are all welcome. Thank you.
Fantastic. I guess that it's here in Stockholm, Sweden, it's 11 p.m., which I guess in many other places is very late too.
It's midnight.
So we have two options. Either we continue this conversation about building bridges. Oh, somebody's speaking to me. Is it PY?
Yes.
PY.
Yes, it's PI. PI.
Oh.
So
Swedish accent. Sorry, my bad.
I just wanted to chip this in there real quick before you wrap it up. I wanted to hit on, I think, was it Hilda that was talking about 10 years ago?
Yes.
Was it Hilda that spoke?
Yes, Hilda.
Yes. So it was the same thing with Ghanaian movies. If you remember the likes of, Anwar, what's your favorite girl's name? Jackie Appiah and the rest of them. They became huge. They became huge on the outside Ghana, in Gabon, in Uganda. I don't know if you have anyone from Uganda or from Gabon on the platform.
There is.
But that's how, you know, they became huge in those countries before they even broke out into the Nigerian market. So the foundation is already there. We just need to tap, because I'm sure there are major Kenyan movies that are hits in other African countries, maybe in Tanzania or somewhere else. You know, so the foundation is already there. We just need to tap into it.
And I also think it's, sorry, Prudence. I think it's also an essence of like having, because what I have found recently, even with our film, is and like everybody has said, we had watched Nigerian films. Even I watched Nigerian, Ghanaian films growing up. We watched South African films growing up because it was able to transcend into our own market. And what I have found also, that the audience is hungering for their own content, their own stories as well. But what I have found with our film is, when we were trying to distribute it within Africa, we were told, no, your film won't work for the audience in Nigeria, or your film won't work for the audience in Kenya. So in that way, it sort of it limits us only to, whereas a Nigerian film comes to Namibia and it does well, you know, because it's not really about what, you know, it's just, it excels. South Africa does the exact same thing. But then when it comes to, but then we were told, no, you can't go to this because your film won't make it there, because, you know, the audience would prefer just having to watch Nigerian films or having to just watch this kind of stuff. So within the distributors as well, I think there's also a call for them to just do better.
Yeah, I agree.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Desiree, for saying that. That is actually what I was talking about. Like, we should be able to sell our content within each other's country. So, for example, Mikkel came to Norway, and we had he's famous for the Nollywood Travel Film Festival. And this Norway is 5 million people, right? It's one of the smallest European countries. But the fact that when he came, the number of people who showed up to watch this film, and we are talking about Norwegians who are very timid people, came to watch Nollywood film. It shows you that it doesn't matter. If you think that there's no audience, there is an audience. We just need to know how to go about it and who to meet. So that's why I'm saying that I completely agree with what Hilda ma'am said. She hit the nail on the head, but this is also for actors, right? The actors are the ones who tell the story, but people, that is the distributors, now need to believe in filmmakers as well, that we have good content to sell within Africa, build the audience within Africa, so much so that even if you don't sell outside Africa, you are satisfied because we have the audience already. So that's what I'm saying. But please, anybody who has a film to screen in Norway, we do private screenings, reach out to me, and we will gladly have the film screening in Norway, because we're trying to showcase our content in Europe, of course, not through the cinemas, but we have very good projections. So we call them private screenings, and we call it film and jollof. So they come, they watch a film, and they eat jollof rice.
I love it.
Fantastic.
I love it.
I like that.
Well done, Regina. That's beautiful.
That's awesome. I love it. I think, Regina, would you also just give me your email address? Because I think Earlier and I would love to have that conversation with you in terms of having our film screen in Norway.
Sure. I'll do that. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, this is Fedorov. I have a question for Regina.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm an American. I'm an American film person. My question to you is: you mentioned that Africa has a hard time finding distribution in the States for their films. Is that correct?
Yes.
So my question to you is: why is that? Why do you think that's so?
I think that's a bit of a two-way answer as well. At least for some of us who have tried to reach out, we probably haven't made the right connection in terms of who are the distributors. It's not easily or readily available. It's like one of the questions I asked earlier on when we were talking about collaborating. So Hilda said something. If I want to shoot, it's easy for me to call Hilda because I come from Nigeria, right? But if, for example, anybody in the US wanted to reach out to Hilda, are you able to reach Hilda? It's the same thing with us. Are we able to reach people outside in the diaspora? It's not that easy. A lot of times the information is not there. Yes.
Okay, so for me as an American, I've worked in the film industry for over 30 years. I've seen many good films from Africa, and I've seen many not so good films out of Africa because of it had technical issues.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, and I've seen, some great stories though, great stories. But when it came to the technical aspect of the product, it wasn't so well done. So therefore, I in regards to that, I always saw that as one of the issues with why a lot of African filmmakers weren't getting their films picked up by distributors. I've also attended so many Black African films.
Yes.
And there's always a shortage of white distributors that come to see those films at those festivals.
Okay.
There was a film years ago that came out from Africa. It was called, I think it was called The Gods Must Be Crazy. You remember that film?
From Namibia. It's a Namibian actor. Yes.
That film played in America for over 2 years.
Wow.
Ran for over 2 years. So I know it's possible, and
yes,
I know there's some great filmmakers out of Africa and some great stories, and I look forward to working with you guys.
Thank you. I think what you said is correct. We can on this platform exchange information, but I also wanted to use the opportunity to tell you that yes, there are films that might have some technical issue, but in the last 5-10 years, we've had way more better films coming from Africa. In all sense, technicality, acting, everything on point. So we just need to be able to have this kind of opportunity where you get the opportunity to tell other people that, oh no, but I know this group of people are making a different kind of films, right? And then we, on the other hand, too, can be able to because I know the diaspora too is looking for how they can bring their films into Africa. And we are open. Nobody is saying we wouldn't want to watch the films. In fact, we probably, like I think it's Answer that said, we know so much more about Europe, America, more than the rest of the world knows about Africa. And this annoys the life out of me, especially because I live in Europe and I go around and I see everybody talking silly things about Africa, and I'm like, God, why did I study history?
That's by design, though. That's by design.
Stereotypes.
I was just going to add something before I go off. I don't know if we're together.
Yes.
First of all, the guy you talked about the quality of films from Africa, I would disagree to a point because, I've attended a lot of film festivals, and I can tell you that there are a lot of terrible films coming out of the US too, like really terrible films. Just like you have a lot of good films coming out of the US and a number of bad films coming out of the US, there are also great films that have been, out of Africa over the years. I remember the first time I saw a movie called Viva Riva. I saw Viva Riva in 2010. I didn't know who the director was. I didn't know, but Viva Riva was well distributed in Nigeria. It was distributed, and it was also pirated everywhere in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Ghana. Everyone was talking about Viva Riva way before I met Jomongo. And then there was Yellow Card by John Riba, from Zimbabwe. Jomongo is from Congo. And then John Riba made Yellow Card over 20 years ago. Real good production that everyone talked about. And you also, I don't know if we've also seen this film by Abdurrahman Sissoko, Timbuktu. You know, these are very good films, you know, by Africans. They're great films from Nigeria. There's, you know, there's a new film coming out from Nigeria. I'm trying to remember the name. It was an Air Force film. I can share the trailer to some of you want to see. It's a world-class production. People are thinking now of ways of meeting that standard that we've all always wanted. Now, I think one of the reasons we do not get major distribution in the US is because the big distributors are people who want to change the narrative of how African stories are told. And so they want you to tell African stories in certain ways. You know, they do not give you the freedom to express your African story the way it should be told. They want to tell a Coming to America Part 2. You know, because for me, I think, yes, it's a great story, it's a great movie, but Coming to America Part 2 in 2021 should not be about jungles and about lions jumping and spear and all that. Look at Wakanda. You know, that was a futuristic, you know, approach to telling an African story. That is how Africans should be portrayed. You know, so most of the big distributors will not pick a lot of stories from Africa, except they commission you to tell the kind of stories they want to tell. Look at what the child soldier story, the story on poor Africans, prostitution, the story that Africa is not safe. That is the kind of story they want to distribute and, you know, and make the world see us from such perspective, which is not what we should be telling, which is not the kind of stories we should be portraying. We should, at this point, be thinking of how to make a Mansa Musa story, you know, to show that Africans always had wealth before even Europe and America and the rest of the world. Those are the kind of stories we should tell, because Africa is a really rich continent. Unfortunately, our filmmakers are subdued because of financial and social influences. You know, they throw monies at us and then we jump at the monies and tell the kind of stories they want to tell. And then for the distribution with India, I was saying it on the platform, you know that the Indians ran the African film, the African cinema industry way before we started even thinking about promoting the African film industry. In Nigeria, for example, for years, the Indians ran the cinemas. The Indians ran the cinemas in Nigeria for years. They were promoting Indian films, you know, and it was also a way of promoting their culture. I didn't remember seeing Nigerian films way back, or African films in our cinemas in Nigeria. It was either the Chinese, the Americans, cowboy films, or the Indian film. Now it's time to take our audience, you know, and create a culture for cinema. Our audience needs to be talked to. We need to bring them closer and give them reason to trust that Africans can deliver quality projects. Why is it not possible for us to show a Kenyan film or South African film in Africa, in Nigeria? Why would it always be Hollywood films dominating our cinemas? These are the kind of conversations, you know, I think we should be having, which already we're having, finding ways to bring Kenyan films, South African films, you know, to our cinemas, and then having our films, you know, go to the cinemas. Unfortunately, in South Africa, the big cinemas are dominated by people who don't want to promote Black films or Black culture, which is something you know, maybe a conversation for another day, because it's still a position I don't understand.
Thank you for that, Mikael. Before other people answer that point of view, I'm just gonna want to introduce Casey Amos. All right, who is John Amos, and who is also a film director, and who is very excited to be here today. Casey, I give you the floor, and maybe you can also give some answers to Mikael, who is the president and founder of the African Film Consortium, who is a partner of this event today. So Casey, how are you today?
I'm very good today, even better now that I'm on this line. Very interesting conversation. I'm Casey Amos, the son of John Amos. been in the film business. I'm a filmmaker, graduate of Cal Arts with a master's degree, and been steadily pursuing leveling this playing field for quite some time. And it's an honor to be joining you. And my perspective on it is that we need to get back to the independent source of filmmaking and create some stories that are from the heart, from the village, and get them straight from the people. You know, we have a great many stories to tell that are much more important than animals running around in the jungle. And I was surprised. I was a little surprised to see that, because everybody saw the outrage about a year ago when the Lion King revealed that the animals, how the animals are treated and everything. And I thought we were past that, but I guess Paramount felt that they had a license to delve back into that. And you know, it's humorous and stuff, and maybe it gets the kids laughing still, but we have much more important stories to tell.
Fantastic. So Hilda Hilda, do you have anything to ask to Casey, and also to respond to what Michael highlighted?
Okay, I'll just try, and then Desiree can go on.
Okay.
Casey, it's nice to have you in our midst, and thank you so much for believing in your Africanness and knowing that we have better stories than Batman flying around the trees. So,
Casey, information, Hilda is the mother of Nollywood, the Nigerian film industry. Everybody here knows who is Hilda. If you watch any Nollywood film, she's the lady. She's the mother of Nollywood.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay, so to just add to what Mikhail had just said about what I'm very African. I mean, like, I believe in Africa. I believe in our Africanness. I believe that we have better everything. I believe that they stole too much from us. And this is when not to go fighting for what they stole, but to use what we have here to prove to them that they stole the little parts. We still have the main thing here. So for me, it's very important that we begin to tell our stories our way and insist on it. Yeah. No one knew when we started, no one knew that Nollywood, then it was home video. Nobody knew that anybody would come here and baptize us Nollywood. Nobody knew that our films were going to be good enough for film festivals. No one thought that at any point anybody will come here to run interviews to ask us the magic that we're doing with Nollywood. No one thought that any one of us will walk into Hollywood and be somebody for people to want to see. At least we're not jumping trees and we don't live on rooftops. We have more exotic homes in Africa than I think they would have. Our smallest rooms are bigger than their biggest rooms, and they don't know that about us. Yes. So we'll keep, for me, Casey, everyone in this room, I think this is that time for pollination, for all of us to believe that we can. And because we believe that we can, we keep doing our movies. If we stopped when no one trusted us, when no one believed that we could, there wouldn't have been any Nollywood. And if there was no Nollywood, no one would be referring to Africa today. Everyone is saying, you know, African cinema. And this is because of that, the description that was second largest producers. We were producing good ones, bad ones, not to be very good, whatever it was, we were just at work. Nigeria has the sign off. You make films to make films. You don't make films to make money, but you make movies to make more movies and more movies. And that's how we got here. So for me, as Africans, it's time for us to find the people we can across West Africa, South Africa, East Africa. Find the ones that you connect with. Let's make Africa the biggest destination for distribution. Once that happens, we can tell our stories the way we want to tell our stories. The big studios will find their way here because we haven't even started telling our stories.
We've not.
Our stories are beautiful. That's my
This is only the beginning.
Yep.
You're right, and it's no cakewalk being over here in the zoo. You make a move, you make a movie, and the distributors say, "Man, you got to just give me that movie." You know, like the last 2 films I made, like I would have been better off coming over there and powwowing with you guys, because there's nothing coming from it. You know what I mean? They take advantage of you here. They see your situation. You know, and you have no choice as a filmmaker here but to give up the film just so the people can see it, man. But if we built our own, we wouldn't have to go through the process.
True. Let's build ours.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find a way. I'm coming.
Come home, Casey. Come home.
Can I chip in here, Prudence?
Yeah, yes. Please go on.
Yeah. Well, welcome, Casey. Thanks for joining us. I believe we are in a new era now, whether we like it or yes. You know, regardless whether it's.
By the way, PY is one of the producers of the movie Coming to Africa. All right, which was inspired by your by Coming to America, in which your dad was, and he's here with the director Anwar Jameson, who's African American, and PY is from Ghana. Please go on, PY.
Pleasure.
Yes, I'm from Ghana, and we have the best jollof. Hilda, please don't make it.
We're starting a conversation.
Don't start that war, PY. That's do not go there. Do not go there.
We just picked one wall. Let's just stick to one.
All right, let me stick to one. Let me stick to this.
Yeah.
So another reason why I'm saying that we are in a different era now is that we are at the point where you just left off, Casey, is the connection, bridging the gap, how we can work together. I just saw on social media a few days ago where I forgot the name, something factory. It's a production company from Nigeria. I think they produce a couple of shows from Ghana. They use Justin Duman and a few other people. But the owner was in Atlanta, and he met another producer who is a top producer. And I was just happy to see that on Instagram. Like, there's connections are happening. I have another colleague, a good friend of mine called AC Amwa. She's also a producer, writer, director, actress as well. She's Ghanaian, based in California right now. And this is the conversation we have on a regular, that how can we connect? Because that's where we are right now. It's happening in music. Burna Boy just won a Grammys. You know,
exactly.
It's happening in music. And I'll tell you guys, the reason why he won is because of that collaboration, that partnership that he had with some heavyweights on his album, including the likes of PDD, you know, who executive produced the album. So
yeah,
this is where we are in terms of what we did with Coming to Africa, with myself and Anwar, my brother, you know. Oh my goodness, my battery.
His battery died.
The Ghana jollof. All right.
Yeah.
I make the best jollof rice. I'd like to just chip in.
Okay, Casey, so that I can explain you the jollof thing. Jollof is a very famous dish in West Africa, originated in Senegal, the jollof region, but also prepared in Ghana, in Sierra Leone, and in Nigeria. And there's a war going on between the best ones. So just so you know, don't tell a Ghanaian person that he has the best jollof, because a Nigerian would say he has the best, so and so on and so forth. But back to the conversation on movie before we go into the jollof rice. We're gonna, Anwar, you're still here, and you're African American, and you and the PY was talking about the power of, let's say, collaboration to between the different diaspora to enable, you know, project that, you know, wins, like, you know, Burna Boy and so on and so forth. Anwar, can you tell us more about, you know, coming to coming to Africa, the work that you did, and you know, how, you know, for example, especially because Casey and his dad wanted to hear more about that.
Yeah, so the only people I brought with me were my DP, or DOP, as you always say on the continent and over there, my assistant director, and one of the producers who was also an actor. So basically 4 of us came. It was very important to me to have a Ghanaian crew. So I brought the people I needed. The rest of the crew was Ghanaian, and we just really bonded like a family. I just felt like filmmaking is filmmaking. You know, I'm like, get me to the set, get me to the location, we'll make sure we can move around correctly. But once we get on the set, we're really making a film, and I know we know how to do that. And we had the conversation earlier about accents and people not representing things authentically and all of that. Well, I knew if everybody in it was Ghanaian, then I can't go wrong. So that was very important to me. So people like David Donto, I was just blessed and fortunate to have him in it. Nanama McBrown, all of these people who I could go to with my script and say, hey, how's this? Did I get this right? Is this okay? And tinker with it because I wanted it to represent Ghana. So even though we were characters coming over from America to Ghana, I wanted to make sure everything we're having in this, everything we're talking about in this conversation about authenticity and everything being right. We really had great people. We were in Ghana, so I knew I couldn't go wrong. It wasn't me trying to do a Ghanaian accent. You know, I'm American and I'm coming there representing that. But I also had my perspective, and it was a true collaboration.
Obviously,
because
okay. Please go on. And while the conversation cut, if you can repeat what you were just saying.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Well, I was just saying we had a true collaboration to where I was able to bring my background and the way I learned how to do film, but also respect what everybody else brought to the table. And one of the main things that the crew told me over there, which really made me proud, where they were like, wow, you really listen to us. You treat us like, I mean, we sat down, it was like a family. We had a ball. And they would tell us how a lot of the other filmmakers come from outside and treat them a certain way. And, oh, don't talk to the director. And I'm like, really? Like, I don't even know how to be like that, you know? So when we touched down over there, it was really a family experience. We had a great time. Everybody, cast and crew, we bonded. We didn't have any problems. And I was listening to them because the thing I told them is obviously, I can't tell you how to be Ghanaian. You know, that would be stupid of me to try. So I need you all to be Ghanaian and feel free to add input into the movie and improvise and put those things on it to make it authentic. And when people watch the movie, that's what they've really been getting out of it. Some of the Ghanaian actors who came to the screening who weren't in it. And some of the people like, wow, you really captured Ghana. And they couldn't believe that it was my first time in Ghana on the continent of Africa. You know, my plan was to come and take a trip ahead of time, do research and come back, but it didn't work that way. So it was really my first time on the continent. And I just did my research. I was making sure that I was respectful. That was my main thing, to be respectful to Ghana, respectful to Africa, respectful to everybody I'm dealing with, and understand that you're welcoming me in. You know, I'm not coming in with some arrogant attitude, like I'm gonna, you know, do this and that. And the result, I think it came out lovely, and we've been getting, you know, a great response from it.
Beautiful.
Interesting. Sylvia Sazini, we haven't heard from you. And Fumban, as usual, I apologize for butchering your names. It's just my accent. It's French and Swedish, so apologies for that. So Sylvia and Fumban Lenzemo.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, I butchered the name too bad. They won't accept.
Yeah, you did. But we still love you, Prudence. It's okay. You're trying.
Thank you.
Have you starred anyone, Prudence?
Yeah, I want to. Okay, so we have Essie Amoa, who is also from Ghana, who had something to say. Essie, she's based in LA, if I'm not mistaken. Essie.
Yes.
She's a filmmaker.
Hey,
how are you today?
I'm fine. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for this conversation. And I see some familiar faces on here, so I'm really excited to see you all. Everything that you guys have said has been right. I've had the privilege of working on the continent and working in America, and I've been able to compare the differences, the things that work, the things that don't work. And one thing I've realized is that I think the key thing that a lot of people keep saying is that we should really just spend more time researching and not letting, and I know it's a balance, but I feel like the more we continue to keep researching on dialect, on language, on culture, what makes us different, what makes us unique, what makes us same, really will continue to just help make our stories just better. One thing I've realized too is that even living in the States, I have so many people, and I'm pretty sure Casey, as well as other people on this platform, they want to get connected to Africa, right? And so many times I have people who are coming like, yo, Charlie, hook me up with this person. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, sorry, everybody. But you know, like, I've just had so many people who are like, yo, connect me. I know you've been on there, da, da, da. And I just realized that there's such a disconnect between people who really want to connect. And so I know I shared it with a few people on this platform, but it was just like, I just realized like here in the States, there's directories of what projects that are actually happening, and people in the industry can actually get in contact with people directly. And so I shared it with some people on here. So I started to create one for Africa. You know, so like if people like Casey or people like Desiree or anybody wants to work with one another, there's no longer have to search. You can just literally look at it and then call people directly. And so I'm just feeling like one of the biggest things too is like we have all this great energy. Everybody's trying to connect, but I feel like we're all missing each other. We're just continuing to miss each other. And so at least I just want to say here on this platform is that I'm also trying to help along with everybody else on here to add to our solutions so that we can no longer be disconnected. So once we finally all get connected, that energy will be able to now contain itself in Africa and abroad because we have a straight pipeline to each other. There's no more disconnection. There's no more, oh, I don't know you. There's no more, who is this person you need to connect me to? So I just want to say thank you guys so much for even connecting us in this space. Seeing everybody together from different parts of the world is absolutely beautiful. So I just wanted to show my love and just to show what I'm working on this side. And, if you guys are interested with the production directory, I'll just put the link there. I have the second one that's already out. It's covered Ghana. We have Nigeria. We have Sudan, and somebody just submitted from Mali. So if you guys have other projects in development all the way to post, let me know so that we can all now just directly get in contact with you. We don't have to worry about anybody else. We go straight to the source. So that's
excellent. So thank you for that, EC. I think that one of the greatest connector here would be the African Film Consortium, all right?
Definitely.
By Michael and Shirdos and many of the guys that are here. And I think that it would be good also to extend an invitation to all the non-members that are present here because they're going to find a lot of resources and outreach. But let's go back to Casey and for him to tell us about his work as a director, because you mentioned before that you directed some projects recently. So, and the project that you had in the past and future project that you may have with some of the guys that are within this audience.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. My last two independent films are on Tubi right now, which is pretty convenient on it's easy. It's already on most smart TVs. So Mercy for Angels and Tamales for Gumbo is a comedy, romantic comedy, and Mercy for Angels is a dramatic film about a runaway girl who hits the streets and her mom's a cop and has to get her out through treacherous bureaucracy. And basically I just been making independent here. I haven't had the luxury of having a studio or any type of major machine behind me. I just call my peers and my friends that are around me and call in some favors, and we beg and plead for locations, and then the struggle is real, and but the films get made and they're solid stories, and I'm proud of them, and happy to send you the links so you can check out like the trailers and the features if you like. And you know, they were done a few years ago, and I'm looking forward to getting to the next level. The project I'm working on now that's most interesting is my father's biopic, you know, and we're calling it Kicking It with Pops, and you just get the real when, you know, how Pops really interacting with people, and other father and son duos, mother and daughter duos, and showing how the connection is strong, and showing how my Pops, of his energy and his body of work has inspired the world. You know, it's here we use the phrase America's favorite father, and now that Cosby's in a little trouble, there's no question that it's Pops. You know, so that's one story, you know, and I want to incorporate, you know, when I was young, he would take us to Africa, to Liberia. I was very young at the time, but I do have memories, and the energy and essence of it stayed with me, with the artwork that was brought back. So I want to conclude his biopic with a trip to Africa, and show his interaction with everybody there, and how he's inspired the world. People are all around the world, and at the same time show how that everybody reflecting that energy has inspired us as well. And I think that would be a great conclusion to the biopic, Kicking It with Pops.
Fantastic. And how do you plan to involve people in this discussion? Because I get that almost all of them are, you know, big fan of your dad, and that many of them have seen him while they were growing up, or some other while they were parenting, or some other the newer generation. So how do you intend on, let's say, involving his, you know, the people in this group, and, you know, other people that, especially on the continent, that are big fan of his? Because one of the reasons why, you know, we have this African virtual tour is that many of the actors, like, you know, your dad, for example, are very well known on the continent, but never had really the opportunity to, you know, really connect with the audience locally. So how do you plan to do that, or to revert, you know, to get more access to audience, and, you know, other filmmakers who want to be part of, you know, that experience?
Well, I just got the message for this conference call just like 20 minutes ago, and first off, I would like to get him on the phone right now. That would be the best way to have him join. I tried to send him a message over there. I don't know if you could send Nikki a message.
He was there, but the weather, you know, because the weather he was here before. He spent 1 hour with us, actually, and but the weather, obviously, as you know, what happened in Colorado, the weather issue, internet connection and that great, so he cut a bit. So we have you back, so no worries about that. But as far as
well, I'm glad he was on board for a little while. The weather is pretty bad there right now. My goal is here to be the connection, you know, to help Pops connect with you guys directly. You know, if you guys need like a cameo, or you know, he's got a very strong voice. You know, he doesn't necessarily have to be there. You know, we can make the contact, you know, and get the concepts and the scripts over, and you know, if you got a paragraph for him to read a voiceover, you know, let him implement that strong Amos voice onto your projects. You know, if you got a 5-page, 90 pages, if it's a couple sentences, let's start working together. You know, and I can be the connection in between to help make it happen, and facilitate making it easy for us to start working together in small form, and let it grow from there. You know, we're planning on coming over there soon, you know, and intermingling projects and mixing it up. And I think that's the best way, is to get face to face and start working small and let it grow.
Fantastic. Angela and Mikhail have questions. So let's start with Angela. Please.
I just unmuted myself. I just have more of a comment than anything. This is amazing. I've been involved in an organization called African Focus for the last, 11 years now. I've been on the board. And one of the things that we do is to bridge the gap between Africans from the continent and African Americans and people of the diaspora that are here in the States. We didn't have our event this year. We usually have 800 people. But what happens is that an African family is a host family and they adopt someone like myself. I was adopted into a Yoruba family. And so I've been adopted for about 4 years now, but you exchange cultures and you learn, about the African culture, the Nigerian culture, the culture that, to the family that you're inducted into. But, in lieu of us not being able to have the event this year, one of the things that I found as an American is that, the opportunity for us to be able to engage with people from Africa is to make friends. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, there was a stereotype that that Africans didn't like African Americans and African Americans didn't like Africans, and that was promulgated. And I mean, that's so not true. I mean, I've always considered myself to be a global person since I was about this big. And what was important to me was really being able to engage with people from all over the world. And I think that, the simple things for us and for others is to really embrace somebody. If you don't have friends in Africa, I do. But if you don't, or you don't have friends in America, make a new friend, learn about that person. I mean, that's the best way for us to be able to really, again, connect that link that was broken. I mean, we're the only ones that really don't have a direct contact or direct link to our ancestors, and that's something that divides the community. So, I mean, I've been to 5 countries in Africa. I was always welcome, and I'm continuing to look forward to being welcome. I mean, I've got friends for life, and, with Prudence and, with Hilda and, just being involved in the mentoring program, it again, just extends that, that whole sense of family, and being able to reach out, being able to mentor somebody, being able to learn from somebody else, and really, again, forge genuine relationships, to work on projects, and just to have that completeness. So I just salute all of you. I'm looking forward to working with everybody. And
you're working currently on a project with Hilda. Am I right there?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. What is it about?
It's called Remy and Chance, and it's about 2 best friends. One's African, one's African American. Their fathers were diplomats. They grew up between here and the States, and now that they're in the States, they had a falling out. And when they reconnect, one finds out that the other one is dying of cancer. Oh. So it really explores not only the friendships and the African and the American culture blended together, but it also addresses cancer, which is something that affects everybody, and it's affecting people that are younger and younger every day. And so what we want to really do is make a statement about that, and also be able to help people in dealing with cancer. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom, but just look at different ways to cope and to be able to support those that we love. There'll be a charitable branch to the, arm to the film. But I mean, it's something that everybody can identify with. And, it's a story of humanity. It's a story of hope. It's a story of looking at different ways to skin the cat, and different ways to handle situations. So I'm looking forward to getting that off the ground, and to, the collaboration, and again, really being able to make a difference and have some fun doing it.
Fantastic. So great. We have now Anita and Mikel who had something to say. Unless Casey, you want to butt in on what Angela said, or Anita or Mikel. Anita Diop. She's representative of the Audiovisual Cinema Commission with the African Union, which is interesting.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Anita. How are you today?
I'm fine, and I thank you for this forum. I was just going to listen in the background, but I'm here, and I just want to. I listened to so many comments, and it's very wonderful. I believe it was Issa that talked about the energy, and I appreciate the energy. As a representative from the United States, I had an opportunity to sit on the commission in Kenya in 2017, and it was turned into a treaty, and it was signed by all of the member states. So what they were looking for was to improve the quality of the films coming out of Africa. And there was a lot of debate around that. But as an artist, I believe our most important thing is to tell our story. And specifically for African Americans and Africans on the continent and those in the diaspora, we have to control the narrative. We have to really, I think, I'm not a big time movie producer, so I can't really speak, but from my place, I visited 28 different countries in Africa. I'm known as the spirit of Africa. I'm known as the African princess. And my message is, let's not try to get to someone else's table. Let's build and create our own table. And like Hilda said earlier, they will come to you. Once you are fully established and you're making your way, the world is going to take notice. Let's pull our funds together, get our investment houses together, build our studios and produce our films and tell our stories. Let's talk about the little grandmother that became a widow. Let's talk about how she carried the water and sold water, and that's how she was able to put her son or grandson through college and come back to the village. Let's tell our stories because we have that power. We are a powerful people. Everything we do gives life to the rest of the world. So we have to tell our stories in our way. Let's talk about original spirituality versus religion. Let's talk about our ancestors and what they mean to us in our life. Let's talk about futurism. I heard someone talk about the difference between Coming to America and the Black Panther movie. Yes, let's dream. We know as filmmakers and storytellers that whatever we put out there, people are going to imitate. So let us create a new Africa. Let us build towards the African Renaissance. Let us build a new glory. That power is in our hands. It's in no one else's hands. It is in our hands to do. In America, you all may know about the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance dealt with the coming of age of the African American after suffering through the slave trade and through slavery. They put out a contest that said, what is this new Negro? What does he look like? What does he eat? What does he do? How does he find himself in society? And they launched the contest for the artists to create what that new Negro would be in these United States of America. And that was the power, the voice of the artist that led us to become greater citizens in these United States. So on that same model, Africa can create its own identity, its own sources, its own resources, simply tapping into the genius of the artist and building our own table, forgetting about everybody else's table. They have their table, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Let us not waste time, but let us build, let us project, let us create, and let us be.
Interesting, very fiery conversation out there. Anybody wants to respond to that? Abel or Chris or Mikael, if you're there. Obviously, well, you said your piece, and everybody's obviously okay. Hold that thought. Fantastic, Hilda. I'm sure that you want to respond to that because that echoes a lot of what you say, and with the same fire. So Hilda, and also because I think that we're reaching midnight here in Sweden, and I think that people need to go take their time, reflect on this conversation, and build more bridges. So Hilda, I leave you the floor to give us, the concluding words to this conversation, if you may. What do you think, Hilda?
Yes, let's go there. It's a few minutes to midnight out here. And so before we take this into a new day, it would be nice to cap off. First, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's made out time. Filmmakers are very busy people, but for you to have spent 3 complete hours on this discussion means it's very important to all of us. Africa is important to all of us. There are a few things to take away here. One of them is the knowing that we can keep pushing our Africanness. We can continue to tell our stories our way until they hear us and they come here. We can explore our immediate markets, which is the African market. Keep exploring that and until it attracts others. The opportunities for collaborations between us, amongst us. And now that we also have a directory, then it gives us an opportunity for all of us to put down our names, their platforms, African platforms created by Africans. There's a consortium, there's a casting, Call Africa, the trainers here, the filmmakers who are both here and in diaspora. We can all leverage on ourselves and build the African cinema of our dreams, and then raise our future. Invest in the younger ones and ensure that they become better than all of us, if that is possible. And then I want to thank Casey for coming in and for sharing that thought with us. Indeed, your father's voice is a voice that we all revere, and we love him. We love him. We truly do love him. In fact, I recall one scene that I can't get off my head of him flogging Kunta Kinte. And I could see the pain in his eyes. Even as a child, I couldn't imagine what pain he had to go through to do that. So every time Africa inflicts pain on another African, it's a pain to all of us. So this is that opportunity. We have begun this conversation, but we're not done with it yet. We're only going to say goodnight to ourselves today, but this conversation will surely come back again. Prudence, what do you think? Thank you so much for having all of us. It's been a pleasant evening, and we have obviously enjoyed ourselves. Thank you so much. Okay, John is still tucked away with all the.
Casey, you have something to add here on behalf of yourself and on behalf of your dad, because all of this is actually thanks to him. Alrighty. So Casey, yes, the floor is yours.
Is he there?
Yeah, he's there. Maybe gone fishing.
He's on mute. Okay.
Okay, I'll mute him.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes, I was saying is I've been listening. I didn't realize I had mute. That it's been very gratifying. I can't tell you how gratifying it's been to hear that we all share the same interest, to come together. You know, I shared my experience about distributing films here, and it's like I said, it's no cakewalk. You get taken advantage of. You know, they basically say, you know, give us the movie, you know, and let us make the money, you know, and maybe we'll send you some chump change, you know. And it's very frustrating, you know, to go through the process of making a film and just hand it over to the system, you know. And you know, a big deal, like your film's out there, people are going to see it. That's not enough. That's not why we make them films. You know, we want our people to see the films and grow and expand. And this is the best conversation I've heard in a long time, that we come together and build our own and create our own infrastructure and start to put the stuff out there. And they will, you're right, they will come to us. It says in the Bible, if you build it, they will come. And I say we follow the direction.
Amen. Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. Mikel, you are Mikel, is he here? Mikel? Oh no, he seems to be gone fishing too. So we're gonna go with PY and Anwar, who represent coming to Africa. All right.
I'm back.
Oh, okay. Who, PY or Casey or Mikael? Okay, PY, you there. Okay, wonderful. Can you give us your closing word with Anwar, and then we're gonna finally close with Desiree and Girly. So PY and Anwar, your closing words on this, and also something that I want to highlight.
Nice to meet you, Casey. I think I was talking about a subject and then the call dropped, but I'm sure you guys have moved past that. I just want to say that thank you for this opportunity. Let's do this more often, even if it's once or twice a month. I know we're all busy, but including myself, who is busy.
You dropped again, PY. That must be the Ghanaian Jollof. So we.
No, you didn't, Prudence. You didn't do it.
I was specifically Jollof.
I heard you.
Oh gosh.
I heard you loud and
Oh, you got here. We don't appreciate that though.
You still haven't tasted it, so wait till you taste it. But anyway, once again, thank you very much. It's good to connect. We'll keep doing this. We'll keep making more movies. And please, Hilda, tell your people, don't tighten up your site too hard. Open out small for us to enter, Niger.
Okay, no problem.
That's good. All right. Let's, in conclusion. So Anwar, is he still there? If he's
yes,
not,
I'm here.
Anwar, yeah, your concluding words.
Yes, I'll just like to say thanks for the opportunity to speak to everyone. It's been great. Everyone, please, I've been looking some of you up on social media as you've been speaking, but at Anwar Jameson and I'll put it in the chat also on my email for anybody who wants to reach out, bkefilms@gmail.com. I'll put that there in my Instagram. But yes, let's please continue these conversations. PY and myself are the living embodiment of what we're talking about, and I'm proud of that. I'm a guy from the US who wanted to go to the continent, make a movie. We got connected. I went over there with PY. He's my brother now. I go over there, I eat with his family. I stay at his house. When he comes over here, we're going to do what we do. That's my brother for life. And I really forged some relationships over there that are for life. And it really showed me what's possible. So let's keep this going. Let's keep doing it. And this has been a great opportunity.
Fantastic.
And go watch our movie. Go watch our movie, Coming to Africa.
Coming to Africa, indeed. So Desiree and Girly, you had the movie called The White Line that just came out, all right, recently. A fantastic story that you spoke about, all right. So we're going to close this conversation with you guys and your hopes and the fact that this conversation doesn't stay a conversation, but actually action. So we're going to see Hilda going to film in the USA with Angela. We're going to see more project with Casey and his father's project and so on and so forth. So yeah, Desiree and Girly, just conclude on where do we go from there, from conversation to actions? Are we still there?
Desiree, do you want to go or shall I go? Well, I think from our perspective, and I think what has kind of come to the fore from this conversation is that the challenges that we faced is not unique to us. I think it's something that we all face as a collective in the industry, irrespective of where we are geographically positioned. But I think what I took from this conversation is that we're all passionate about the stories that we're telling. And I think also from something that Hilda said, whereby we are the ones to make it happen for ourselves. We need to stop looking outside of the continent to be rescued in a sense. So I think in that regard, I think Desiree and I would be open to anybody if possible, because obviously we would like to break into the bigger African market. Our film is currently on box office, but obviously after that, we would like to look at any other alternative opportunities for us to get our message across to a bigger audience. So please do, let's collaborate, let's stay in touch. And I think also from my perspective as an actress, because in that regard, I was speaking as a producer, I think also from my perspective as an actress, like I feel like I am a canvas, I'm a catalyst. So if anybody would like to tell a story, please do contact me if I am available and I'm able to be a part of setting the narrative that you'd like to set in terms of what we've spoken about. I am available. Obviously also we've all got our personal projects in development, which obviously collaborating with other people and also from a personal perspective. So let's
You're
keep
not
in
asking
touch.
for
And
a
let's,
private jet, are you?
No.
I'm not, sorry, I'm not asking for a private jet. I'm just saying like, we are here. These are the things that we're talking about. So I'm saying as a way forward, let's not just continue to have these conversations and have meetings about having meetings, but actually making things happen going forth. It's
So
like if
Anwar,
somebody
she's
has
not
an
asking
idea.
she's not asking for private jets, so she can come and film in Philadelphia or whatever the place you're filming. So she's
Yeah. Yeah. So let's collaborate. Let's set our own narratives. Let's also see how we can help each other distribute our stories in the various African countries that we're in, and obviously also in the diaspora. So let's continue this narrative. And honestly, I would like to give kudos to everybody that's been a part of this platform, all the efforts that you've made, all of the stories that you've told. I think it has paved the way not only for ourselves, I'm talking about Desiree and myself being first-time producers for this particular film, but also for the generation to come. So it's not gonna get easier, but we have to continue to persevere because I think it is our responsibility. And also if we look at it from an African perspective, our ancestral right to do right by our ancestral stories. So let's collaborate to make that happen. Yeah.
fantastic. Obviously, we're gonna make all the ancestors happy today.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're gonna let them go to sleep as well. All right.
Yes, we will. We will.
All right. So guys, unless anybody else wants to continue, we can close now and we can say thank you very much, and then we can have a follow-up conversation because we're doing with the AFC, we're doing what we call an African virtual tour with African American actors, producers, and so on and so forth who are interested to interconnect with people within the diaspora. So we'll keep you updated as to what are the next date and what are the next speakers. But it was a fantastic experience, and I thank everybody for being here, for adding to this discussion. I apologize for my accent and my butchering people's names. Alrighty. I hope although that you enjoyed the moment, and
we're happy, Prudence. You did well. You're an amazing moderator, babe. You're an amazing moderator. So well done.
Fantastic.
Thank
At
you.
least the ancestors of the owners of the one V.
Yes, Prudence. So fabulous. She's so modest though. Prudence.
She
Prudence
is, eh?
always so modest,
Yes.
But that's
okay.
You do so much, and you just like, oh, not, we gonna toot your horn for you, girl.
Okay, thank you, girl. Thank you. So
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Will this transcript be made available?
Oh, sure. I'm gonna how can I do that actually? You know what? Since you all registered, I'm gonna just make sure that I make the transcript available for you guys online. Alrighty, I'm gonna send you an email.
Okay.
Alrighty. So
cool.
Obviously,
and I think Bonbon Emmanuel wanted to say something. He had his hand raised.
Okay, Emmanuel. Oh, Emmanuel, please say. Oh, Chris. Oh, was it Chris? Chris, please help yourself. Chris. Chris.
No audio.
No.
No audio.
No audio. Please.
Okay.
Fortunate. Next time. So, Hilda, it was a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed. Alrighty. So
yes, we had a great time.
All right, fantastic. So again, I thank you very much, guys. we're gonna inform you guys of the next session, as I mentioned, and that's it. And we can say bye-bye in our native language if we want.
That's Oshiera, which means sleep well.
Okay. Au revoir.
Peace.
All right. Au revoir. Bonsoir. Good night.
Good night.
Holla at y'all soon.
Good night. Don't let bed bugs bite.
Peace.
Good night,
Yes,
everybody.
good night
Thank
to
you again.
everyone.
Dele, take yourself off mute and say good night.
I hope everybody can hear me now.
Unmute yourself
We
and say
can
good
hear
night.
you, Fonbem.
Okay,
everybody.
Good night.
Can you hear
Good
me
night,
now?
guys. Bye.
Oh,
Bye.
Jigbao, oh, Daro.
Good night. Bye.
Good from Cameroon.
Fantastic. Great.
Thank you, Prudence, Casey, and
Welcome,
Paul,
guys. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you,
Petra.
everyone.
and John.
By the way,
Well done.
guys,
Well done.
remember that this has been also possible because of Polly Baldassare, who is the manager of Mr. John Amos. All right. So he was kind enough to allow share with us the availability of Mr. John Amos. So this this conversation has been enabled.
Yeah.
Paul, better off.
Thanks to him.
And and thanks to them a lot. So thank you very much, guys, and thank you, Fitera.
Good.
And thank you, Prudence.
Good. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank
Good
you.
night, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Cheers.